Last quarterfinal here at the Rainbow Six Siege Mexico Major, and it is between North America's #4 seed DarkZero and the #2 seed from the Copa Elite and the LATAM region, which is going to be Team 1. So you're probably going to have some questions if you're just tuning in about why only Team 1 is on stage. Well, they're not on stage right now, but they will be. They will be, I'm told. DarkZero, however, will not be on stage, and that's because we have had 1 or 2 cases of COVID-19 here. So they will be playing from their rooms. Everything is fine. They're all okay. Everyone here was tested earlier today. Everyone else came back negative, so hopefully it is an isolated incident. Players are feeling fine. They want to play this match, and they will be playing from their rooms. It should not really be a fundamentally different experience from being on this stage, because we're in the hotel that they are playing in.
And you know what we tested positive for? Having a banger desk.
That's right. There you
Just
go. There you go.
I had to throw it in there. You guys got everyone's like cringe in chat. And I'm like, trust me, that's what I'm built for.
I love it. So that's where we are with DarkZero as of today. But if we take a look back at DarkZero's tournament, it has been very successful for a #4 seed. Now, I brought up there were some caveats about their NAL performance because it's not like they were losing matches. They lost 1 match to TSM, and they won 6 matches in OT. So they were a very successful team in overtime, but they were getting the wins. And the thing about tournament formats is as long as you're getting the wins, it doesn't matter how you do it. So my question here is, DarkZero exceeding expectations?
Yeah, absolutely. At least in my mind. I know you're going to have a different outlook possibly on it, especially when it comes to roles and players, etc. But from outside looking in, I definitely thought that they've exceeded what they proved in NAL, yes.
I don't call it bias because I knew the vision that they were going for and the roles that they wanted, like Jessa just said. So I don't think they're exceeding expectations. I think they're fitting them.
Oh, they're meeting expectations finally. That's what we like to hear.
You did call that they were going to get out of groups at the beginning of this event, and you've had that faith in them the whole time. Now, was it well-deserved considering they lost, a match here and there to NIP? They were one of the teams that wasn't able to take the wins off of the reigning champions?
I think it's fitting, but the biggest problem with DarkZero has always been dealing with the LATAM aggression. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is about that region specifically, but it's like some player from Latin America could do the same thing as a player from Europe, but for some reason it'll work when it's the Latin America player. I don't know what it is, but that's just something they've always had to deal with.
A little bit of kryptonite on the board, I think. I'm not sure how I'm sort of perceiving it because I feel like they're different. And okay, it might be a little bit of a shift in roles or maybe how people are meeting expectations for their roles. As an ex-coach, that's what you want. You dream of having NJR, for example, step up to the plate and have the impact. Pambazu, I think he has. I think he's still got a lot of growing to do, but I think back to that cafe match and how he's able to entry through Red Hatch multiple times. And think to myself, that's a good little bit of a spot to be for an entry player on the side of DZ.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We'll get more into DarkZero, but first, let's hear from the players about their experience so far and their expectation for the quarterfinal match.
After we lose against Cyclops, we had a conversation on our room that we were not playing our game. When CGG put us on top 6 team in the world, gave us a lot of confidence, but we put a lot of pressure on us, like the obligation to win the whole tournament. That pressure didn't allow us to play better. We had this conversation, I shaved my mustache, and we were better for the other games. When I'm yelling more, I can think about the game more. I can give more callouts and help my team, so that's what I need to play better.
I think as a collective team, the group stage went pretty well. Going into the major, we had some role changes, so I think Nick switching to flank watch off of entry, and me and Tyler stepping into more of a supportive IGL role with Brandon. I think it's been going pretty well considering me and Tyler have no experience shot calling. Going into the matchup, I think people don't expect how big our map pool is, so hopefully they do their preparation because the last teams we played, seeing their bans were pretty questionable.
He sees DarkZero's future there, and it's a win.
All right, well, it's time to go into our map veto and then dive into some deeper analysis. So let's start with which maps these teams are going to be playing in this best of 3.
For those who don't know, it will be Bam Bam, Pick Pick, Bam Bam, and then the decider, and that's exactly how this is going to go. So the first 2 maps that will swipe left or right, as if you're hitting a Tinder app, is going to be the bans, and then we'll get the picks. And the first ban for DZ will be the coastline. I'm not even surprised because I don't even have that map listed in their top 5, so that's not a surprise that will go off the board. And I'm wondering with Team 1, they're going to get rid of Cafe, and that's probably because the last time they played in the Copa Elite Finals, they got 7-3'd by NIP.
Ooh. Coastline going out's no surprise. That's a map that DarkZero's never favored. It's kind of like I said, it's a coin flip map, and I know they have the same mindset towards it, so they're not even taking the risk of taking a super aggressive team there.
Ooh, Villa's going to be the first pick there, followed by Chalet. I mean, after what DZ did to Damwon Kier on it, the 7-4 recently, and I mean, they hit 2 OTs and won them in NAL. They'll go there, and Chalet, it's a pretty damn good map for the side of Team 1. Remember that 7-4 against CAG? We loving that. And then a couple more bans will leave Oregon.
DZ banning console is a big surprise to me. That has historically been their best map. They played it the most this event, which could be a reason why, but even in the NAL they favored it, so it's a little strange for me, but we'll have to see what happens.
Maybe it's because of that historic game we had yesterday where CAG got slapped off the face of this earth into a rematch that has never occurred before, and that was on Consulate, so let's not forget that. That's probably why they don't want to go there again.
All right, well, I have to ask about the elephant in the room, Skies, which is...
Don't call him an elephant. It's all right. You're looking good, man. You're looking so good.
You just assumed the elephant wasn't you. You could have been in there, the elephant in the room.
Oh.
So I just Uno reverse carded you right there.
You
Anyway, so let's talk about DarkZero's mentality, because you know these guys very well. They're not playing on stage. They're playing from their rooms. They're going to be separated. So how do they adjust to this situation, and is this good or bad for them as a team?
So I am honestly a little worried about it. I think having them in person is very, very important. It's how they practice every single day as they live together in a team house, obviously. So not having BC around especially, I think is going to hurt them the most. He's kind of like the leader. Even though he is a player, he's kind of like the dad figure as well. And I know specifically for some players on the team, he's kind of like a confidence factor for them.
And it's also a little bit in reverse as well. I mean, you're talking about how every other player reacts to him. How about him reacting to every other player? I mean, it is not a secret that BC hasn't performed very well as an individual player outside of the objective. And then I think a player who knows that they're not doing very well. In fact, I stood next to the desk when they were playing on stage, and BC said, "Thanks for carrying me, boys." He said that to the team at one point after winning one of their matches. Imagine he doesn't have the team's kind of like flow next to him, be able to prop him back up. If he's sitting there alone in a room and he's wondering whether or not his performance is hindering his team, that could be really dire for his confidence as a communicator and as a leader.
And what about Mint stepping into this coach role? How is he best going to be able to facilitate any changes that need to be made? Is it going to affect them, do you think, at all from a coaching perspective?
The biggest thing for Mint, like I said, I've known him personally. He's a very good communicator, so I think when he does have those timeouts, he has to be very, very specific on what needs to be fixed and what they need to do to improve throughout the game, or I'm sorry, the match. So it's a very big thing for him to just be very specific, because that's what they're going to need.
Oh, God. He's smiling there. There's BC on your screen. I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't know the players' faces necessarily. Like, if you don't tune in to NAL, make sure that you do work out exactly who these players are, because I remember even the APAC players, people are like, oh, who's that? What's their name? So whilst they have the faces on the screen, it's really important to learn exactly who is behind each operator.
What do you guys think allowed DarkZero to level up their game at international competition? Was this a case of they needed some more time after NAL ended, or is there something unique about their play style that helps them a lot on these international stages?
I think the biggest thing we've talked about before is adding Pambazoo, adding NJR, and having Eclipse that's a little bit more flexible. So having BC as well, we've talked about it, he can implement the play style that they've wanted. Pambazoo is that player that will run in a doorway and die for the team. Hyper will trade him. And NJR, I think, has been significantly overperforming, and that's not a shot in any way. I think he is performing and continuing to improve.
He had 38 kills in day one in 2 games.
Insane.
Yes. I think it's fair to say he overperformed way more than I'm sure he expected, way more than any of us, and I'm sure his teammates expected. So that's really good for him to come in. Unfortunately, when you set the bar this high, you now have to try and maintain it, and that's my worry for DZ at the moment.
One thing I said when I was on the roster and we picked NJR up was his potential has not even been tapped yet. And I think going into this event, it has been touched a little bit, and I think throughout this next couple months, he's going to perform and grow even more. So I'm hoping to see that continue. He's also already the top 3 rated player at this event right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
With Team One, their opponents, Jesse pointed this out to me, which is that they have done something very extraordinary beyond the tiebreaker scenario that we will discuss. But they started this tournament by losing to every team in Group A, and then they had to show the grit to claw back in, beat every team in their group, then win a game 7-2 precisely, and if they gave up one more round versus Cyclops, they would not be here. Cyclops would be here in their stead. Not only did they do that, then they forced the rematch game and won that as well. So they had to play the extra game. Now, Jesse told me that he had seen some numbers run. I can't verify this. That showed that it was a 1.8% chance of any match going to a tiebreaker in this format. So that means that we could replay this major 50 times and still only see that one tiebreaker. That's one tiebreaker in the entire tournament. So it was extremely unlikely to go to that point, but also absolutely thrilling. I have seen very few things in esports like how hard Team One had to play under a specific round differential circumstance to push that. So what do you make of this team that was so flat on the first day and a half of competition, and then was able to find themselves and push through extraordinarily mentally taxing circumstances to make it here to the quarterfinals?
Well, in really general Jesco fashion, I was going to bring the MVP on the desk. Unfortunately, I left it in my room. It's actually the shaver that shaved off the mustache
Oh my
for
God.
Alamau. And
Oh,
I don't
no.
have it here with me right now, but right now he doesn't have the mustache on his face. He said that that was the problem. I don't agree, of course. I'm sure there's much more going on, but I definitely think that Team One is a team that likes to come in as the underdog because it makes them feel that they're doing something fantastic. The vibes are always extraordinarily high. You can hear them hyping each other. Even in lost rounds, you and I were sitting in the talent room, and I'm like, was that Team One celebrating even though they just lost a round? I'm like, that's an incredible kind of space to be. And when you're thinking about psychology and whatnot, Team One, they've got it really high up there. Latin America, even with their performance coaches, they're really strong in their sort of mental aspect.
Oh yeah, that 7-2 game is a direct example of composure. Those guys were completely resilient. Every single player on that team stepped up. We talked earlier on that they couldn't rely on Alamau, Lagonis all stepped up. The whole team throughout that series needed to do something. They all did something one individual round to make it happen.
Whew. It was too close for comfort too.
Okay, so we have to address something else, a player you just named, which is Lagonis, who had, there's no way to sugarcoat this or even be remotely nice about it, an absolutely miserable performance to start this tournament.
Yes.
And so when you compare that to a player like BC on the side of DarkZero, how do you decide how bad an individual performance can get as an IGL or kind of support player versus the value they bring strategically to a team?
Oh, that's an extraordinarily difficult question. And of course, when you answer it, I'm not sure if we have a graphic to sort of give you guys stats as to what we mean when we're talking about this, because when a support player comes into a team, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than the stats can tell you. I mean, both of these players might have some of the most incredible comms you have ever heard. And of course, look towards the middle of the bracket there. You can see the plants. Lagonis has 10, BC has 9. Those objective-based plays are what are going to give them, I guess, a little bit of redemption. But do you think as a player, because as a coach, I sometimes think I would be okay having a player going severely negative if they had really good comms and they had a lot of plants. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. I think BC is the heart of the team, and I think without him here at this event right now, they would not be performing the way that they are. Even though he is, struggling a little bit statistically, he does have 9 plants. The opening kills and opening deaths is a little bit of a concern. I don't know, how that's possible with the roles that he's playing.
Yep.
But again, they do have the highest plants at this event right now as well, with 14. NJR has 5 of those. BC has 9 of those. And again, he brings the play style that they want. He brings the communication, and he brings the leadership.
It's hard. It's sort of a hard conversation to have because Lagonis is currently -24 in KD. And for most people, you would expect at this level that you should be at some point be able to trade yourself out. Go 1 for 1. I would be happy with like a -8, -10 maybe in total, depending how many engagements you had undertaken. -24 is 3 times what I would expect of a player.
Yeah, I think that's particularly concerning considering they have won 4 of their 7 games that they've played. Because remember, they did play the extra one, so they played 1 more game in groups than most other people. So when you have an over 50% win rate as a team, still having that negative 24 is suspect.
I mean, look, let's just say they got themselves into the playoffs. Clearly, the comms or something that player is doing is enough to get them over the line. And it's also a question that we need to have a conversation about at some point, not now, but into the future, and everyone at home think about this. If that player was on their game, how good of a team would they be? And that's always a big question mark. If BC was slapping people like he used to do with grenades, etc., if Lagonis was having positive games with a positive rating, what kind of team would these teams be? And I'm a bit of a theory crafter, so that's what I'm going to think about later.
Well, I hope we're having the conversation later today about which one of these support players stepped up as opposed to which one was dead weight. That's the conversation I hope we have. Let me ask a different question. Now that we're moving into best of 3s, which team does this favor?
Oh, I said DZ originally because I felt Team 1 relied on their aggression quite a lot. Think back to the Consulate matchup where Levy, who's running around with the Roni on a Rooney consistently up and down spiral stairs. That's easy to do on a map like Consulate, a map like Coastline, for example. We saw it with Furier as well, taking BDS all the way. So I think that Latin American teams that have good aggression, I think Team 1 have great positioning, but there are players like Alamau, like Levy, who try and overstep the boundaries with aggression, and that's what sort of tips the scales in their favor in some rounds, and you can't just rely on that, I think.
So I think there's 2 different situations here. We get the Team 1 that was the first 4 games where they were playing sloppy and had their capes on like they're Superman, or we get the Team 1 that beat Cyclops twice to make it to the playoffs where they have the team play, they have the coordination, and they maybe if they are making a little bit hero plays, they're making smarter decisions to do it. So the best of 3s, I think, is a little bit more worrying for DarkZero because, like I said, they're a very prep-heavy team. And I said it in the groups. Going into the playoffs, I think best of 3s is where they're going to struggle a little bit. Best of 1s is where they, thrive because they only have to worry about 3 maps potentially to go to. So on this one, I'm kind of leaning towards Team 1 for the first time throughout this event other than NIP. So I think Team 1 takes this.
So you are foretelling a tale of doom for your former teammates in your prediction.
I'm not picking DarkZero this time around, and it hurts.
I like how he phrases it. Instead of saying I'm picking Team 1, he says I'm not picking DarkZero.
I've had faith in them up this whole time, but I'm a little worried, about the whole COVID situation, the best of 3s, all this type of stuff. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see a hyper Michael Jordan flu game. Who knows?
Jeez, look, I can't believe you have lost faith. And you know what? I'm sneakily suspicious that you don't want them to do well because you don't want them to outdo the performance that you showed us at SI when you were on the team. And that is going to be throwing a little bit of shade your way.
No,
because
they've already outperformed. They've already done it.
That's very kind of you. I don't believe you for a second.
That's fine.
It's great.
And yourself?
And myself and my predictions?
Yes.
No, I still think, like I said, I still think that Team 1 in a best of 3 are relying on aggressive maps. I don't think the map pool has gone that way for them, so I don't necessarily think that will bode really well for them. But hey, DZ, if they leave a gap in the strategy, Team 1 can just rip that apart time and time again. That's what it will come down to, just the same way. It is literally almost like a mirror image of the Furia BDS game. We are getting the same styles almost instantaneously in a different matchup here.
Okay, I'm put you on the spot here, Jess.
All right, go ahead.
Who is the player to perform this game to win it out for their team? For one
for
player
Team
from
1?
each team. Each team, one player.
For each team? All right, he's taking your job. We don't need you anymore.
That's fine.
All right. I would like to see Neskin stand up.
Okay.
As a flex player, I believe he needs to step up a little bit more. And I think he does just an okay job. But when Alamau and Levy are standing up, imagine you had your flex player standing up and Lagonis getting the plants even though he dies all the time. If he gets the plant and he dies, okay, whatever, you've kind of done your job. But I suppose if I'm looking on the side, I don't want to put weight on NJR's shoulders, so I'm going to take him out of it. I'm a bit of a BC fan, so I'm going to have to take the bias out from there. I think Eclipse has kind of disappointed me. So Eclipse is going to be my man.
So you want a big game from Eclipse.
I want a big game from Eclipse. There you go.
All right. Let's head to a break, guys. When we come back, we'll be getting into Team 1 versus DarkZero. Let's talk a little bit about your stage 2 performance, because your path here, I would say, also was somewhat unusual in the fact that you basically just won overtime games to be here. So would you say you are lucky or clutch?
I would definitely say clutch.
There you go.
It happened too many times for it to be a coincidence or just like luck based.
What is it about you guys as a team that allows you to consistently win when the game is on the line?
I think a big part is just our team has a lot of resiliency, and we're kind of stay in the fight and we don't give up. And also once we get into these later rounds, sometimes like we can have slow starts, but by the time we get to overtime, we feel like we figured out the other team and we know what to do and which strats we want to run.
I think it's easy for us to keep playing and not be phased when we're way behind, and as well not get too excited when we're way up. Just one round at a time. It's something we stress every day in practice, and we've seen it play out all season long.
How have you improved? What did you learn from Six Invitational, and how have you improved from then to now?
When you play against teams from all the regions, you learn a lot of stuff different that you don't use and you don't see in your own region. And you got punished by different styles, different things, different plays that you can like pick up and learn why they do those kind of stuff and put you in your arsenal. You know, I think when we left this is Invitational, we were a much more flexible team. Our adaptations were more easily to do, easy to see the needs. And that's why we improved so much for the second stage on BR6.
It's time for our very final matchup of the day here in the quarterfinals. 3 teams thus far have punched their ticket to the semifinals tomorrow. Michael, there is one more team to join them. So far, it's a Brazilian team and 2 European teams. The lone APAC team fell, and now the last hope for North America in DarkZero hopes to hang on for the region.
And we'll see how DarkZero fares. Their opponent, Team 1, though, definitely a formidable team. It's going to be an interesting match, to say the least, and given complications, that adds an extra layer.
Obviously, the team huddle's going in before. If you didn't see earlier on in the day and are solely tuning in for this matchup, you might notice that when we go to a wide shot of the stage/studio, the DarkZero is absent from the stage. It was announced earlier today that 2 members on the team, Hyper and BC, tested positive for COVID-19, and as such, all necessary health and safety protocols have been followed rigorously, and the players are all playing individually from their separate rooms. Team 1 will be playing on the stage, but for DZ, they are all playing alone from one another.
Yeah.
Whether that will hurt or help their chances, probably not the latter. But whether they hurt or help their chances, we'll wait quite anxiously to see.
So we have a community poll for this match. Who
No
will?
way.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Every time.
Believe it or not.
It's so crazy.
Weird how we do that. Who will advance to the semifinals? Will it be DarkZero or Team 1 Esports? It's a very simple community poll. Who do you think is going to win? You can go ahead and vote on that on social media.
Yeah, I mean, no confusion here. Not who do you want to win, not who's going to be the better team.
Who do you think
Not what
will
did you
win?
have for breakfast this morning. Not when does Bolo play next. None of those things.
He doesn't play next. He's been eliminated.
Thank you.
Yeah, just so you know.
I'm aware.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not everybody is aware.
I was very aware.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 3 maps to play today: Villa, Chalet, and Oregon as the tiebreaker. There's a surprising amount of overlap on these teams' map pools. Feels like you and I haven't casted a Villa match in a very long time.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that.
We were.
We
discussed it.
It's been a while.
Coastline too.
Yep. Yeah. Outside of our normal purview.
You know what map we haven't casted in a while? Consulate.
Don't talk to me.
It's been like at least 24
Don't
hours
talk to
since we casted it 4 times in a row.
4 times in a row. What a day that was. Days, plural.
Never getting off Windows, the map.
Dreadfully linear, the map.
Okay. So
It's been a while. It's been a while. It's the longest reigning comp map.
Jeremy Mapcell, are you listening right
Yeah,
now?
Jeremy,
Jeremy,
you do
and
great
Mapcell,
work.
You do great work. Please.
Consulate. Please.
Please.
It's the only map that's remained like mostly like structurally unchanged. Just seen some small updates here and there.
It got a whole new bomb site. You can't say that it's structurally unchanged.
Yeah, a whole new bomb site, but like not like they didn't change the map that much.
They didn't change it at all. They just added bomb sites.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, and yeah, it's the only map in the comp pool that's like that.
Team 1 had a very tough start here and looked like they would be going out in groups, but then over the last day, they made a miracle run, including one of the craziest, most statistically unlikely events that has never occurred in Rainbow Six history, which was that fabled tiebreaker against Cyclops Athlete Gaming. They needed, based on round differential, based on maps won and lost, based on the amount of points they had, it needed a 7-2 victory from Team 1 to wipe the slate clean and then have a tiebreaker. And that's what happened. And if that Team 1 shows up, if Day 3 Team 1 shows up today, DarkZero, who aren't even at full strength because they're all playing isolated, they'd have their hands full. But
yeah,
let's waste no time, shall we?
Let's get right into that operator ban phase as we load into Villa. DarkZero on attack, which means the Team 1 starts with the bans. They will eliminate Habana. So, Hard Breacher done away with. It's Habana or Ace you're usually going to ban on this map. You need the ranged Hard Destruction. Let's see what DarkZero decides to get rid of. It'll be Thatcher to go in tandem with that Habana into isolation. Next DarkZero ban, beginning the Defender phase. Nothing so far is surprising. And I don't imagine we're going to see much interesting stuff on the defense. Oh, I stand corrected. DarkZero will ban out the Echo. So this is something that we've been discussing over the duration of this tournament. Echo has resurged in relevance recently, not in a explosive way that's going to catch everyone's attention necessarily, but he has been played into great effect by multiple teams in this tournament. Valkyrie, an expected ban. So Echo, the only real surprise there, and he's an interesting one to be sure. It's going to make it harder for the defenders to deny a plant without directly confronting their opponent.
Absolutely correct. And Echo obviously has a greater effect on this map as well. There are a couple maps where we see Echo's pick rate jump, and this tends to be one of them. Teams love to play him on pretty much every single site that exists. One thing that I want to keep an eye on are the numbers behind successful defenses for the living room and library site.
I'll check. What is that?
What is that noise?
Did you hear? Yeah. I wonder if the mics picked that up.
Don't worry, it was just a sheet metal ghost going through the studio.
An iron golem.
How weird would that be if they didn't hear that on stream? Always reminds me, by the way, just always gets flashbacks to the Sao Paulo finals that we did.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When they muted the crowd mics and we're like, can you hear how loud the crowd is going? And then you just hear it on the Twitch stream and there's just silence.
It was our very first LAN event together, and yeah, it was the loudest crowd we'd ever experienced because there were a lot of people.
It was insane how loud it was.
There were so many people in that venue, and it was tiny.
I just remember going back and rewatching the VOD to try and like iron out my own casting, and I just remember there was a long pause, and then we're just like, you can hear the crowd's going crazy.
And there's nothing.
And you can't hear anything.
That was so funny.
I hope in this instance that you were able to hear that. But no, so this was an interesting conversation that came up on social media, and this relates specifically to Villa, and I believe Reaper was the one who talked about this. The living room library bomb site is very challenging for the defenders to hold, but some teams as of late have had a lot of success with different defensive setups.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if we're going to see it pop up, because the attackers can struggle mightily to make it work.
Yeah.
And it's a bomb site that is so seldom used, but when it gets pulled off, some teams are quite proficient at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the worst site statistically for this event, but there are, you know, exceptions to that rule. I feel like it depends on the preparation of the actual players. Of course, we don't have player cams for DZ because they are not on the stage right now, so that's why you're seeing what you're seeing if you're wondering. Now, DZ already with the roam clear, trying to find what they can find on those roamers, see if they can catch somebody on T1 off guard. Hyper vaults straight into bathroom, spraying into Astro off of the drone. So good drone work there, and he'll get the foot scan as well. So this is an extended roam off a mirror window, but Team 1 will fall back very quickly. Actually kind of surprising how swiftly they left that, considering they had 3 defenders here and a mirror window invested. They haven't even wasted half the round. I don't know, it's a little early.
First Jackal track comes out for KDS as he needs to vacate the premises. Puts up his ADS to juggle it over by the doorway in case you see DarkZero focus on study at all. Some teams will either go all in on one direction or the other. You'll either stack up on study, try to take control of stairs and classical hallway and push from there. Other teams will take bedroom and then snowball from that particular direction. Looks like the focus for DarkZero is on the latter, as bedroom is where they are looking at the moment. Neskin's position downstairs all the while has been spotted out by the Jackal track, so he has to scoot away. And because of that, DarkZero doesn't expend too much, and they are able to find the location of one of the players. NitroCell goes off in front of Hyper as the final minute is set to go down in the very first round, and there's been limited action between these teams.
Yeah, it's a very slow round. Neskin allowed to go downstairs. He could come up from behind or possibly C4 from below. So we'll see if Neskin pulls anything clever off like that. DZ have started pushing study as well, so this is a split take for DZ.
Still watching on study. The focus as Eclipse will start things off. He's got a soft wall in front of him. Plant going down. NitroCell gets tossed out, but NJR is impervious to the damage, and he'll have no problem completing it. But no, at the last second, Neskin returns. Flank watch for DZ quite poor, and Team 1 capitalize off of all of that. 3 kills, swiftly pushing the members of DZ out. A grenade goes in, but it doesn't do enough damage. Lagona sits on 1 HP as the mirror window in front of Levy is rendered useless. Lagona's finished off by a second grenade tossed out, but DZ have a lot more work to be done. Ali Mao on the flank, he'll catch one, and a big 3K from Neskin. What a round from him, and Team 1 take round number 1.
Poor flank watch indeed, Parker. And the real kicker, Nomad's not banned, but she sure as heck was not played in that last round. Opportunities missed and lost sometimes in those operator pick and ban phases. And yeah, DarkZero could definitely use a flank watch operator, but instead they are opting to bring a Finka of all things. I think, personally, hot take, Finka is woefully underrated. I think, honestly, if she didn't have the anti-recoil thing, then she'd be much more popular. But I don't know. I don't know if Finka's the right move over a Nomad, especially when you were quite blatantly being flanked from red stairs. I mean, Neskin just ran up the staircase and was like, oh, there's nobody here. I guess I'll deny the plant then. While DZ is trying to spear themselves so deep into sight, they have lost the plot on their flank. It's just, yeah, it's rough.
There was a Capcan play on that previous round as well for Ali Mao. Wasn't particularly pivotal in terms of gadgetry, but The mental mind games that come from an EDD cannot be overstated. Funny enough, though, that operator designed to slow down the advance of the attackers is gone. And now a Finka comes in. So a perfect rush strategy unfolding for DarkZero should they opt for it. We saw Hyper on the Amaru before, looking for rush strats on Cafe when they played back in the group stages, but it never really materialized.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Kitchen defense is nice. I like Kitchen defense.
Do you?
Yeah, no, I think Kitchen's probably my my overall favorite site on this map, and statistically it is the most defensible. So it stands to reason that we're seeing it here as the secondary. I feel like a lot of people who play ranked might kind of be caught off guard by Kitchen, but again, lately, at least at a professional level, this is by far and away the best site for Villa.
It's fun to watch. There's a Jackal track that comes out as well, and nothing comes of it.
Yeah,
some small information, that's all.
I feel like Hyper is just using this Jackal to make space. He used it really well in the last round, and I think that's part of why those roamers from T1 fell back so quickly. It's just because, you know, you track a foot, and then suddenly the player who you're tracking is like, oh gosh, I gotta get the heck out of here.
Ali Mao was under pressure from above, tracked by Hyper now as he scoots away, still intact, but much weaker than he was before. He tries to return to the stairs to try and bait out those Jackal tracks, and Panbazoo, DarkZero's newest member, is there to quite happily greet him. You want to take this engagement? Fine, I oblige. Smoke tossed out by Hyper to burn through that laser gate, and it'll go off and cut off line of sight from Bedroom, but KDS has a good position on this one. Ali Mo down below, in the basement. At some point, he can be a difference maker, just as Neskin was on the previous round. Lagona's tossed out a Nitro Cell, but it does nothing other than blow up his own barbed wire. Doesn't do any damage, at least not the way that they wanted, as now Neskin will drop and head back in towards Kitchen. A scamper from Team 1 as they look to reposition as we're at the halfway mark.
Ooh, C4 goes out here from Alamau, and it's a little too late as Hyper is just rushing on in with the support of his teammates. No, firm control and statuary, but they don't know KDS is in bathroom, and he's going to give away his position, do a little bit of damage, but not really anything substantial as he starts getting pushed from all angles. Panbazoo will secure the kill. Great strafe peek there, and down goes KDS. Team 1 now down 1, and the vertical is going to start coming out here from DZ as they open up above this bomb site.
A brief calm before the storm now as DarkZero look to answer back, and from above they'll take out that Alibi clone, but Lagonas is there to greet them the moment that they play, and if he doesn't look in the right position, he's as good as dead. It's back into Memorial to watch all of the closed off furniture, bagged, clothed, whatever you want to call it, covered up, waiting, admiring the sights and waiting so patiently for the 5 players from DZ to go in. Adrenal Surge also going off as Lagonas falls. He was spotted out by Panbazoo, and now that's 2 kills for him as he tries to push in farther to the site. Playing around the bomb chassis, looking long range. Ali Mao on the flank, though, trying to do his best Neskin impression as Neskin, the man, the myth, the legend, takes out Panbazoo. All the guns from Team 1 falling in, and Levy all of a sudden, well, the Levy breaks. And damn the torpedoes on that one, because he's going to cut everybody down. 1 kill for NJR, but it's ultimately meaningless. What an impressive showing in the final 10 seconds of that round. Levy in particular, and Team 1 are up 2-0.
All right, so it's early days yet, Parker. As you say, 2-0. However, one thing can be assessed quite clearly here about Team 1 that we were all speculating about before this match began. This is the Team 1 that we saw yesterday.
Yes.
This is very clearly this. Look at that Levy. Look, he's just chilling in kitchen. Pops 3 heads within 3 seconds of each other. It's incredible stuff. And this is what I don't think we've come to expect it from Team 1, but we've come to hope that we get to see it from Team 1, especially after, as I mentioned, that legendary comeback yesterday. So, with that round now done, Team 1 find themselves in a good position, but DarkZero have not been slouching over these 2 rounds. First round, yeah, they messed up their flank watch, but it's correctable. Second round, they actually looked really solid, especially on the roam clear and when they were translating to site hit. They just all got dumpstered on by Levy, that's it.
1 by 1 by 1.
Mm-hmm.
They funneled in and got torn to shreds.
Yes, that is what happened. So we'll go to trophy now that Team 1 have won their 2. That's confusing, but They are different words. Their 2 favorite bomb sites, they'll go to the tertiary. They'll also be roaming, of course. You have to expect this from Team 1 to have at least a small roam setup to, if not delay, then sometimes actually hard hold. It depends. It's their discretion. They are a very dynamic team.
One of the challenges, by the way, by playing separated was a question that was actually asked by Macy J on Twitter a couple days ago. And he asked if it was legal for players to look on their other teammates' monitors. And the answer to that question is, yeah, there's nothing against it. Teams have done this since the dawn of time. If you recall, I can't remember what Team Liquid game it was, but they had like 2 different monitors pointed at Nesk so he could be droned on in and look, capitalize off of it. So one of the things that DZ will struggle with is the very first kill of the round comes in for Team 1, and Ali Mao manages to karate chop Hyper. And whoo, he's feeling one because he peeks the window and takes down BC. Hyper and BC will sit on the bench for the rest of this round. One of the things to keep in mind here is that by DZ not playing side by side, they can't use that intel. They can't feed off of each other the way that they would were they playing all in a row.
Bomb located by attackers.
This is an excellent observation.
Thank you. I have them now and then.
It's
Fleeting.
No, you're too hard on yourself.
Okay.
I mean, most of your observations are excellent, Parker. That's why you do what you do, at the level in which you do it.
Oh my, NJR involved in a provocation. Nice shot by Pambazu, taking advantage of the smoke, who swings on out. Lagonas is down, and now another will follow him as KDS is buried next to him.
Wait a minute.
All of a sudden, it's a 3v3.
Yeah, this was looking unwinnable for DZ not too long ago. But these roamers extended a little too far, a little too confident, and now all of a sudden, Team 1, well, they're getting back to the side, actually, just now, and they're going to start setting up for the final storm. DZ have firm control of top red. That's big. They also have a player downstairs, I believe, in Pambazu. Not sure exactly where he is, though. And with that, you can do a split take, and Eclipse will get another kill for his team. Down goes Alamal. Good use of the nades, but what a peek from Levy. He just keeps holding it together for his team.
Reunited with that MP5 from the previous round. He's putting in extensive work for his team. He's got the B doors as well locked down. The focus from DarkZero is elsewhere. So he repositions over towards A. He tracks perfectly, and it's another 3K for Levy, who's now sitting on 6 kills through just the last 2 rounds.
Parker, I think we might need to ban Malusi when playing against Levy. It's a scary thing when he's allowed to have that MP5 and that movement. Team 1 now with 3 very confident rounds. And the first round is negligence from DZ. Not too abysmal. Again, recoverable. Just got to watch your flank. The second round, Levy locking it down in sight. This third round, early picks for Team 1. DZ recover. It looks like, uh-oh, might be able to bring this back. Team 1, a little bit scared maybe. But frankly, Levy, all he really did was peek out of statuary and then hold statuary from the push. That's not something that should completely debilitate your attack necessarily. And he never got punished. I don't even think he took any damage in that gunfight. I can't say for certain, but it didn't look like it.
Really remarkable that DZ was able to land a couple shots on him, as with that impressive performance over the last 2 rounds, Levy has jumped to the top of the team standings with 6 kills, 1 death, nearly matching the effort from DarkZero, who currently sit at a cumulative 7 kills. Obviously ignoring the fact that there are other players on Team 1 that are on the scoreboard too.
So, ooh, I love this. There's another one you could do that's behind the door also, and that one's just as hard to find, but it's basically, so you can't do vertical and it gets the single wall inside a vault. It's also more protected from nades and so and so. Just a nice little spot. So we've got no more Finka, by the way. We did see the line switched onto, I think it was last round, and it's continuing to be played here. Once again, no Nomad. So DZ are confident, I guess, in the fact that they can deal with the flank, even though that's not been the case already.
I am surprised with the lack of proper flank watch that's coming in.
Well,
I mean, Nomad is such a staple of this DZ team. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised too for DZ specifically, but I think maybe they're just trying to go for something different, because we know it's possible to have like stellar flank watch without an actual flank watch operator. We saw that from Empire when they played earlier today. Remember on Cafe, Nomad's banned, and they're never letting anyone flank them. And DZ, no, not DZ. SSG was trying to flank them all the time. Oh no, we've got the. Yeah.
Switch to somebody on a drone.
Yep. Go
and
to
then
yeah.
go to
NJR.
on a drone.
NJR or Pampazoo. There you go. And yeah,
and then it just needs to get shot.
It hopefully gets destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just goes back to normal.
Yep. Oh,
come on,
Pambas.
sacrifice it.
Take one for the team, Pamba.
We need you here.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Come on, shoot it. Oh, why are you missing, KDS?
He just lacks critical information, Michael.
Yeah, they don't know. Oh, come on. Yes!
We're back! Yeah! And with that one, KDS goes down. Thank you for your sacrifice. We appreciate what you do for us, but now you are dead. So
worth it.
Absolutely.
No rehost necessary. The spectator gives us a spin of joy, and we resume the match.
Ali Mao inside of Vault as we hit the halfway point in this round. Ooh, did you see the way that got gun looked almost green up against the wall? That was kind of neat.
It was.
Yeah, that would be a nice, like a mint tint to it.
Yeah, they should make that one. I like that.
Very cool.
So, DZ have top main control. They have effective study control. Oh, look at this peek here. Some damage done there to Neskin. C4 out, and he's going to throw it to top main, and it will land on nobody. And nothing.
DZ just slowly chipping away at Team 1 at this point, wearing them down, but will it be enough? Classical Hallway's been shut off for now as one toxic canister goes. There's only one remaining for Laguna, so with 45 seconds left, that means that there will be a window of opportunity for DarkZero. Oh. Ali Mao realizing how lucky he came to Eclipse on this upside-down, disorienting rappel, and this will be a test of reflexes. How much aim lab have you been playing, Eclipse? Let's find out. Still dueling. Waiting for Ali Mao to peek him, and there you go. And you're never going to win that one. He was still aiming above. NJR, though, manages to get the EE1D off before Neskin punishes him on the stairs, and now 90 push, maybe, in his direction. Who knows? DarkZero going for Classical. They have 90 control, and they want to breach the site as quickly as they can. Team 1 don't have a numbers advantage, and it will actually get worse, even though there's a down on the Hyper, but BC will do his task of getting the diffuser down. While Hyper bleeds out next to him. Neskin will need to stop this in its tracks, and there you go, but nobody's watching! How is nobody watching? Where are you looking? The call isn't made correctly, and DarkZero falters at the last second, and Team 1 look indomitable as they're up 4-0.
Well, what a round, Parker. And there's a lot to talk about there. But most notably, DZ are leaving massive gaps in their attack. I'm sorry, huge. And, there it is. Took a while, Parker, but we got there. Nomad will be brought. I think that's absolutely the right call for NJR to switch onto the Nomad. They have been getting continually flanked and pushed on angles that they are not watching. And an air jab here or there makes all the difference because then you could focus your efforts more efficiently. But it's really late to figure that out. We're already 4 rounds in, going into our 5th. Team 1 has won every single one of them. I mean, it's really funny because it almost feels like DarkZero are on defense, and that Team 1 are just seizing every opportunity.
I want to know how a tactical timeout works because that cord has not been pulled by DarkZero yet. I'm assuming that Mint is just in his own room at this point.
Yeah, not sure.
He can chime in when needed. Or he's in the team's practice room. That could also be a guess.
Yeah.
Teams were afforded practice rooms, by the way, that are all spread throughout the hotel that they were able to play on prior to the matches.
Yeah.
And they have PCs set up in there, which I'm assuming those were the PCs that were likely moved to their independent rooms. But,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just speculating. I could be completely wrong. The reason why the match was moved was to ensure that all proper safety protocols and technical difficulties would be fixed.
Yeah. And hopefully everything's accounted for.
How wasteful it is that he just throws the magazine away.
You know, it is really bad for the environment, just magazines all over the floor. Also, those are expensive. Those magazines, they're not like, you know, certain ones could be more expensive than others, but like it's a total waste of money.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, we're about to hit the do or die point for DarkZero. In the matchup earlier today in Empire versus Space Station, we said that 5-1s aren't particularly common, and then we proceeded to see 3 5-1 halves. Well, unless DarkZero managed to pull off something miraculous over the next 2 rounds, a 5-1 or even a 6-0 is looking extremely likely as Team 1 just come up clutch in the end time and time again. This team is on a miracle run right now, as lightning struck when they had to go up against CAG. Will it strike twice? I'm not entirely certain, but we will watch. Ooh, Panbazoo almost getting a kill, leading off onto KDS, who's watching that angle around the deployable shield. This will be a hard target to hit.
Oh, Neskin Over by Trophy, trying to stop this push along with KDS. This is a duo roam right now. They're just trying to rebuff the clear on the top floor. It's not going to be easy, but the setup is there. Team 1 have been very confident in their ability to take these fights. I wouldn't be surprised if they stay up here until they either die or kill enough of DarkZero where they can fall back.
Well, there goes one Ash charge. Trying to clear off what could be an electric wall as Eclipse and Ali Mao are doing battle, or at least it seems as such. DZ have swept in. This site is not upstairs, by the way. It is down below, so do not be confused for what you see by the silhouettes. At the present moment, Team 1 are coming up big on the score sheet with 2 unanswered kills, traded back by NJR. Finally, that Nomad comes into play for a little bit of an extra guarantee on that flank watch.
DZ still down 1. Hyper on half HP as well. Neskin, though, same. Nade goes out there to cover. The vertical play is going to be really important for DZ, but they don't actually have the tools to open up much from above, so they're going to have to funnel through these bottlenecks as we start to run out of time in this round. Oh, narrow miss there for Hyper. And had he hit it, we would be looking at a more even round.
He's got an awful lot to look at right now as Hyper still pursues his first kill in this matchup. A flank comes in, and you don't even need the Nomad to do that. Hyper picks up kill numero uno onto Neskin, equalizing it a 3v3. Lagonis is on the ground, but he pulls trigger a little bit too early on, capitalized on by 2 different members of DZ, and that'll leave Levy now. He was a master in this same position before. He pulls out the Nitro Cell, gets around it, but NJR stops him in time. Finally, DarkZero get on the board. It just took him 5 rounds.
Well, that was scary for a second, Parker. Had Levy known where the plant was actually going down just outside of Laundry, it might have been a very different scenario. He didn't need to expose himself to deny by throwing that C4, but those are just wild theories and speculation on what could have been. DarkZero managed their first round, as you mentioned, and it's a substantial one right at the near end of this half. They need everything they can get because it's been a pretty abysmal half for DZ. Most of that, I think, is just the way that DZ managed the crossfire in sight. Because instead of just funneling through Memorial, they came from Laundry. They're coming from China. They're coming from Memorial. They're going through all the different lanes to try and converge on the site, and it overwhelmed Team 1. They really weren't prepared to deal with it, and that's despite the solid roam that we saw from Team 1 earlier in the round.
Final defense now for Team 1, briefly flashed across the bottom of your screen, that you can support the regions by going to the R6 Share program. Every single one of the 4 main leagues, NA, EU, LATAM, and APAC, all have skins in the game. Additionally, DarkZero has a skin in the game as well, a couple, in fact, that you can support.
Yeah,
you'll see it flash across the bottom of your screen at some point.
Yeah, probably. It's like every other round, I think. And I mean, it's not just about how cool the skins are, but which teams you want to directly support if you happen to be a fan. If you're so inclined, of course. So, we've got the last round of the first half here.
Talked about this bomb site. It finally shows up. Living Room Library making its debut.
It's cool to see.
Maybe Reaper was onto something with how hard it is for attackers to do much if they can't get the necessary control they want by the armoire and the double panels by kitchen door.
Statistically, it is the worst site so far through this event.
Yeah, but numbers are for nerds.
We're all nerds here, Parker. What do you think we're doing? This is esports. What was I saying?
Accurate. You were talking about how statistically it's not the best bomb.
Right, but that doesn't mean Reaper's not right. What I think he's talking about, and I agree with him here, is that this site can be very upsetting to an attacking team that's not too familiar with it or doesn't understand the basic structure of attacking it. I just don't think that there's many of those at this event. Right now, DZ aren't playing very well on attack, though, so we'll see. Maybe this is exactly what T1 needs.
A single Selma has dislodged the defenders from Team 1, all playing in the same area. But DZ were awaiting them to fall back and get pushed right into the trap set by over 90. Eclipse will swing in, though, and he did not have any proper information. NJR trades Ali Mao out. KDS looking for kill number 2 after that first skirmish that he got involved in. A bit of negligence from DarkZero costs them. That's not ideal, and it's a set of grenades down as well.
Neskin is ready for the rappel in. NJR goes for it, but Neskin runs away at the worst possible opportunity. C4 still goes out, though, and it's still successful. What a flick from KDS. Pistol out, and he's ready to challenge the ace. As BC starts pushing in, he'll land the headshot. Easy peasy. It's just Hyper and BC now in the 2 versus 3. Plenty of time for them to work some picks.
At that range against a Jaeger, it's like popping a water balloon. A headshot is so easy on that large melon that presents. Grenade goes in, over towards Vault. Levy gets flushed out. Perfect coordination. And DZ find themselves in a 2v2.
That's about as flawless as it gets as far as teamwork goes there. And to think these guys are dealing with extra layers of difficulty, both Hyper and BC both. But now in their position with plenty of time, drones to work with, advantage in positioning, and they're really just gunning right now. They might be able to salvage this half for their team. A 5-1 is very, very bad for DC, but 4-2, it's okay.
Still very winnable, but DZ needs to understand what they want to do and where they're going to press from, and they're going to just decide to hit Library as fast as they can. At a tight angle held with the shotgun there to open up one of the walls, and BC shoots both of them, maybe trying to bait it out. I'm not entirely certain what the game plan was there. I think it was just more of a sound cue than anything. BC marches in. He's got the diffuser down, and Hyper will have to carry the weight. He sees one, and the Jiggle Peek comes in. This will just simply be a 50-50 test of reflexes. Lagonis is on the hunt. He doesn't do enough damage. There's going to be 2 eyes trained on him, and he's just getting worn down. On the ground is BC, and he can't hit the shots. DZ managed to recover those final 2 rounds of the half and maybe pick up some momentum in the process. The first 6 rounds, though, in the books. The teams will swap sides, and Team 1 comes out on top 4-2.
Wow, what a round there for BC and Hyper. That was a 2 versus 4 turned 2 versus 0. Impressive clutch. I think with the Selma, by the way, I think he was just shooting it because he decided that it was a stupid move to place it in the first place. So he's just like, no, don't do that. We can plant there, or something along those lines. Which is actually, by the way, coincidentally, that is why we often see defensive teams open that part of the wall. So T1 didn't reinforce it, but they also didn't open that wall. And if you do open it, and also piano if you want, that offers you a really substantial flank route. So round done there, and it was a clutch for DarkZero, but a win is a win, and considering how few of them they have, every little win counts. So we're going to Aviator for DZ's first defense here.
Every single bomb site has been played on this map already. Thank you, Team 1, for that one.
Yes, sir.
And, well, we saw the attackers be able to pull it off. Almost synchronized reinforcements going up on this wall. It's always neat to see. DarkZero had some shakes early on, and they really struggled to find the scoreboard. They were just simply being outgunned, and I believe it was Fresh, who during the BDS Furia game said that there were times that BDS would win rounds that were so confounding that you have no idea how they would win it. It makes simply no logical sense, and yet they would still win rounds despite everything working against them. And it seemed like Team 1 had a couple rounds like that in the first half as well.
Yep.
And I mean, that was most of day 3 was just Team 1 fighting from behind, being a scrappy team, never giving up, and even when they trailed, mounting impressive comebacks.
So what you were referencing there, and that particular trait of the ability to win no matter the circumstances, we saw that actually in the last round from DZ. We've seen that from Team 1. We've seen that a lot from Empire through this tournament. BDS, as you mentioned, there's a number of teams that come to mind, but that specific trait elevated past just basic fundamental strategy and mechanical skill is what, in my opinion, makes a good team into a great team once they learn how to manage that, to just, no matter what the odds are, pull out a win and seize upon every little opportunity that your opponent presents to you, even forcing opportunities when you're man disadvantaged. It's difficult, but there are teams that can do it.
Latian fielding 2 of the scrappiest teams, I would say, at this entire event. One of them went home earlier on. It was Furia.
Yep.
But Team 1 still existing. Pambazoo gets blown up. The Jaeger felled by a grenade. Always a chuckle in that particular instance. Team 1 opening things up here, looking to try to right the wrongs of those 2 rounds previously where they fell behind, allowing DZ to capitalize and keep the gap a little bit closer than it was before then. Toxic canisters go out on the main stairs. Ali Mao waiting for the default cam to go up. There he goes. He wasn't going to give his position away as he looks to push from a completely different angle over by Astronomy.
Yeah, so this appears to be a split push. from Team 1, and they know they've got the time to do it. Eclipse, unlike his teammate, will get away, but he is caught by Alimao.
Perfect coordination.
And we've seen that already. It was from DZ earlier, and now we're seeing it from Team 1. It's great to see on both sides of the field.
Just amazing stuff. KDS, the first one felled from Team 1 as the Roni in hand to BC empties its mag, and he pushes back. DZ finds themselves on the board twice now, but they've all taken a beating. Nobody is still at full HP. In fact, well over half of the lobby at this point have taken their lumps. Levy and Lagonis are the only two that are currently full. And just bullets being dumped into the bomb site as the diffuser goes down over by Model. Alimao is there in case a Nitro Cell wants to get tossed out. Nobody's down from them on that regard, but teams will trade back and forth, leaving NJR to clutch up in a 1v2. He'll go through study, and he's got a lot of book reading and book learning to do. Maybe he can long arm it, but he's going to give himself away. He has no idea if somebody is down below, trying to push them out. He sees the floor as the Lagonis trades over, but no. Levy, how many clutches is Levy going to get? He takes it for Team 1, and they're up 5-2.
Levy has been an absolute star so far today, and he is one of the main reasons why Team 1 is so close to winning this first map. So, DZ, unsuccessful on the Aviator defense. This nade right here, that's where it all started going wrong. But mostly, I think it's just the denial or lack thereof. I mean, we had a smoke and play, we had C4s and so and so. There were options for DarkZero. They just weren't employed very effectively, if I could be so bold. And because of that, once Team 1 had the control that they wanted, that's over by Study in top main. They transferred over as well to top red. That worked out great for them, picking up another pick on one of the roamers by red. And then, okay, yeah, let's just isolate Aviator, go for a plant. While they're doing that, though, there wasn't a lot of counterplay from DZ, frankly.
Just seemed like DZ was starting to find their groove and momentum earlier on, but...
Oh, we've seen this roam from DZ before. So this is a fun one. They're going to play in Astro, and they might also have someone by Statuary or Trophy, or possibly by the Closet Master. But generally speaking, they're going to have an upstairs roam centered around that Astro shield, and they're just going to try and slow down as much as they can. They do this in the NAL. We've seen this a few times, so this is nothing new, but it is one that's kind of neat to observe.
Keep your eyes on it. It'll be fun to watch. Team 1 looking for the knockout blow on this particular round, as they have an opportunity to push match point on this kitchen defense for DarkZero. If there's anybody on this team that you want to be calling you forward in pulse, it's none other than Brandon Carr, BC himself. He'll be equipped with a Nitro Cell, but more important than that, he's equipped with a big old brain, and that brain is going to be used so effectively on the pulse to give his team information. Team 1 droning themselves in towards Study. They'll look to clear out the top floor before maneuvering over to Kitchen. The main obstacle that they're going to face usually comes over towards Bedroom, Astronomy, Trophy, Statuary, that whole rigmarole. It certainly seems like DZ are quite invested there.
No commitment from anyone so far. Still only 1 minute in, though, so early days. Team 1 appear to be just assessing the situation. I wish I could see where their positioning was. It looks like kind of by Master and Red. A little spread out there. It's hard to tell. Oh, here comes the push-up from Alusi, and KDS is just not ready. Possibly on drones there. Possibly with a nade out, whatever the case be. It's a freebie for DZ.
And JR still posted up behind this shield, trying to waste valuable time. Eskin can't breathe in a single puff of that toxic canister, nor the shrapnel from the Nitro Cell directly beneath his feet, as DZ now double up on those kills, finding two very important high-profile targets. Alimao just edging into the site, waiting to see if he can play off of someone. Down goes BC, and he realizes that the site is basically empty. He's got a sixth sense, an intuition that Eclipse is playing inside a Memorial, and he absorbs a lot of damage through that soft wall. At some point, DZ will have to call in the cavalry to deal with this, as through the wall, Alimao finds number 2. But the diffuser is very much in the hands of Lagonis, who needs to break on in. Pamazoo going through the same route that we saw Alimao go through, and Alimao is down, but not completely out. Levy swatted away, so Lagonis, with diffuser in hand, is finding himself in a 1v3. Alimao secured. That's another kill for NJR to stat pad. And DZ, an impressive volley backwards to pick up their third round of the match.
Wow, interesting setup there from DZ. So they invested so heavily into the roam that Team 1, or specifically Ali Mao, realized, oh wow, the site's practically empty. But a couple things. DZ got those kills on the roam, which means already Team 1's losing a lot of manpower. It's hard to recover from that in the first place. And 2, that site was clearly set up specifically with the intent of being retaken. So DZ, I mean, those holes in Tetris specifically, those are a good example. If you're going to have somebody trying to plant in sight and they want to be able to plant in the safest spot, generally it'll be Tetris. So DZ opened that up. Now you can retake from that anchor position. The real irony of it is that Ali Mao, when he came in from China, he looked dead at the holes in Tetris, staring at the Pulse's feet. And then he didn't give away his opportunity there. He was very cautious. But he knew the holes were there, and then he died to those very same holes. It's just kind of ironic. We have a technical timeout here. I'm not sure what's going on, but it sounds like it's okay. Yeah, confirmed another audio issue.
An audio issue, and that is KDS with the headphones off as the admins are helping him.
Mm-hmm.
There you are, Ali Mao. Look at what a stunning specimen of a man.
And gamer.
And he's a gamer.
Well, legendary gamer.
Mm-hmm. A rising star in Brazil, well-loved by the community. That man farms impressions on social media like no one else.
Mm-hmm. Ali Mao, or German. But, yeah, he's been playing fairly well through this match, too. He's been seizing some opportunities. And he saw it in the last round, even though they didn't win that. He managed, so far, to get 8 kills for his team. It's looking pretty solid.
Second place, just behind Levy, if all you care about are the amount of frags that people get. Ali Mao's coming out party was during SI 2021, where he devoured teams in Paris.
Yep.
And there was great fanfare about his ability and what he can provide for a region and for his team, as at the time, Team 1 had an old roster, that old roster with the Luke kid on it, if you recall. But then they swapped out. And now the new look of Team 1 is proven to be quite strong. They've made it to both international events thus far this year, which is an impressive tally, joining NIP and Furia and Team Liquid. So LATAM has actually been relatively set, I would say, in the top, though it is a bit of a surprise. Just based on legacy, it is a bit of a surprise how much teams like FaZe and MIBR have fallen off. That MIBR/Old Immortals roster was strong for a long time, and FaZe was arguably the second most consistent team in Brazil after Liquid.
Yeah.
As NIP had some struggles for a number of seasons, and really their dominance has only started somewhat recently.
And frankly, NIP took FaZe's place.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. NIP was historically number 3 in the region for a long time. And that just one day just started changing. And well, here we are. So, speaking of here.
And now.
And now. We've got Eclipse in the closet of Master. This is a difficult position to hold. He's got 2 ADSs to support himself there. He'll need them, as we're going to definitely see some stuns to clear them out and some nades to kill Eclipse as he sits in that corner. That's why he's playing Doc, so he can persist as long as possible.
Tons of survivability in here, and we've seen this time and time again where he's effectively playing to die, but also to eat up utility in the process.
Good time.
As 2 members of Team 1 are looking for something, as Eclipse now underneath the window.
Oh.
A grenade goes in, and that's where he was, but not where he is now. Another will go in and, for good measure, destroy the floor.
And a third.
But they haven't secured anything at all.
They're gonna drone.
Drone tosses in, and it's gone. Eclipse, though, torn to shreds by Lagonis. Finally, Team 1 get the kill that they would so desired.
Yeah, but frankly, I'd call that worth it, Parker, for Eclipse. He got 4 nades, a number of stuns, and a lot of time for that one. And he, didn't get a kill, but, okay, no longer worth it as NJR goes down. He was trying to play an advanced position to support his teammate or refrag him later in the round, and that ends up costing him.
Jeff simply couldn't deal with the Rotero drone. And again, another great lineup for Team 1 to flush out one of the players. With this other panel now, on the triple panel leading into bedroom opened up, that allows Hyper to look at the position that is now vacated by the death of Eclipse. So you can continue to watch that window. And Team 1 are not able to freely vault in without proper information.
Still a good setup here for DZ, despite the fact that they are down 2 players. Bamazoo by red. BC is in control of Astro and Trophy. And I think that Hyper is the one playing on the mirror window. Yes, indeed. From that mirror window, he can stop the vault in through the closet and into Master.
Advantageous position as Aruni is able to punch large holes in the wall. Mirror window goes down, and Ali Mao is just on a rampage at the moment, desperately trying to take the lead away from Levy. Hyper answers back, but he is not long for this earth as Pambazoo will fight inside a Trophy. A lot of angles to cover, but he's so deadly with the triple kill. Goodness gracious. KDS inside of the site does not have access to the diffuser, so he's going to have to go hunting for kills. He has no information, but Pambazoo peeks early on the ground, and he pre-fires, yet puzzlingly, KDS wins the gunfight that Pambazoo seem well equipped to take. And like that, it's match point for Team 1.
Nah, Parker, that's really unfortunate to watch there from Pambazoo, and that's the rookie type of choking that you see, and a player who just lacks critical experience. He pre-fired around the corner when he was close on the angle. Now, what that means is you're giving away your position, nothing else. You're never going to win that. I mean, the dust cloud from your gun is coming out. You can see it clearly. The tracers, they give away everything that you're doing. You could maybe do that with the suppressor if you're farther from the actual angle, but he was too close. It's not going to happen. And that's just, yeah, again, that's critical lack of information for Pambazoo. I think he just panicked a little bit. And I get it. Yeah, it happens. What a beautiful three-piece for him to almost clutch that up. But frankly, Team 1, they did play that round better.
Undoubtedly some shakes on his side. He's a young player who's only had a couple months at the highest level. And now he comes onto LAN and has to play, at the current moment, the most important match of his career.
And this is also the first event of this type that he's ever done, to my knowledge. So
that's correct.
This is, I mean, it's really jumping in the deep end for him. And you could see, here's the thing. We could see the shakes, and we're critiquing the shakes. We could see the mistakes. But also, how many people can pull off that three-piece in the first place? Think about Pambazoo in a year.
5 seconds remaining.
Sky's the limit. Exceptionally talented player. I have no doubt that we're going to continue to see him on a warpath through the NA League, as he has been an excellent addition to this DZ roster.
Yep.
Big shoes to fill, by the way, when both Skies and Mint stepped off of the roster.
Right. I think he's been doing a good job of it. Again, it's really a matter of experience. So as long as DZ as long as he stays there for long enough, we might see Pambazoo fully manifest. Hey, you know what? I sure hope so.
He's had a bit of a quiet game thus far, but oh, Eclipse gives himself away to Levy, just holding, not probably expecting such an aggressive challenge, and yet one pops up anyway. Sun Aviator defense for DZ, it's match point for Team 1, so there's an awful lot on the line right now.
Jess did talk about Eclipse on the desk, about how she needs to see a better performance from him, and he has been somewhat quiet in this first map, this best of 3. C4 goes out there and will be a sure miss. Hyper actually stuck in a rock and a hard place. That's the fire and the nade to follow it up. He had no chance of getting out of that situation alive, and well played to Team 1.
Through the fire and the flames, Michael and DZ are not any better for it. So Team 1 with the commanding advantage at the moment, still half of the round to go. DZ have bailed themselves out of this position before. We saw Hyper and BC do it together, except when they did it, it was on attack. So a bit different.
No, Team 1, all they need to do is use the time that they have available, not jump the gun, and make sure that they take team fights, not 1v1s. They should be able to lock this one out. But with the hot guns that are NJR, BC, and Pambazoo through this map, it's definitely not a sure thing yet. The setup for Team 1 is primarily over by top red, but they also have 2 players by study balcony, so this will be a pincer move.
Attackers have located a bomb.
In DC right now, DZ will just stay inside of the site, waiting so patiently. Neskin might be the next one up as Pambazoo gets shot through a soft wall. 5 guns from Team 1, ready to collide with 3 from DarkZero. And this, well, This is going to be a tough go for DZ to hold off. If Team 1 play this correctly and they have the right lineup, and they can pick them off, especially with how much they've worn down Pambazoo. They flush out NJR. That's another domino that falls. The Lion is in, and Lagonis is going for the plant. Pambazoo sees one, trying his best, and well, there's an awful lot resting on him. Again, another clutch situation, and he picks up a second kill. Looking around, but no, he won't be able to pull it off. 2 rounds in a row, just falling short, and map number 1 goes to Team 1.
Beautiful play from Team 1 and also from Pambazoo, who was landing some really impressive shots there. But frankly, Team 1's siege awareness in general was superior through that map. Just little things, right? Like throwing a nade under a Surya gate. NJR thought he was safe. He's like, oh yeah, I got the gate. I'll be okay. Don't worry about me. He probably heard the pin pulled, but he didn't react. Why? The gate. That's not going to save you from something being thrown that close under the gate. So well done to Team 1, well done to all of their players. Great teamwork, great siege play.
Well, I mean, that's not an entirely surprising result. I think the desk said it quite well with the fact that DZ would be playing at a more vulnerable position because of the fact that they are not all together. Not to mention the fact that 2 of their players are sick, and we didn't see that Michael Jordan-esque flu game come forward, as had been particularly hinted at on the desk. Team 1 only have 1 more map to send this one away, and it will be on Chalet. So that should be an interesting matchup between the 2 of them. But this is day 3, Team 1, all over again. And boy, DZ, do they have their hands full.
Yeah, we were looking for that Team 1, and we got it. It's really exciting to watch Siege played at that level with that level of hype. And I think that's the biggest thing. As long as Team 1 can maintain their hype levels, then they are going to go, I'm sure, pretty far. But that's it for Parker and I for now. We'll have more later, but for now, the desk.
What's more disappointing, that we have to see Intero and Kickstar later, or DarkZero's play?
Oh man, DarkZero and Kicks for sure.
Nice. So let's go and talk about this match. It was unfortunately extremely one-sided in favor of Team 1. Were they doing things well? Was this a strong performance? Because right now Team 1 is on a 5-map win streak, and they continue to impress as they run through the end of the groups, force that tiebreaker. Now they're up in the quarterfinals. They win DarkZero's map.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to be honest, and it's going to come out very simply. The Alamal and Levy show just continues. It's like a
Sure.
7-series TV show that you just hope continues, and every season gets better and better. That's what I feel from them right now. I think they were both double-digit kills at the end, but it wasn't just that they were amassing the kills. It's the kills they got were highly impactful. Think about Levy down in Kitchen. He was cooking up a storm.
Ooh.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Alamo was walking around, running around the map by himself, just
With Buck?
as easily said on Twitter, he was baptizing people. So, I mean, Alamo and Levy were just doing their thing like they normally do, running around, getting the frags. DZ was struggling to handle the aggression like we talked about. It's just, I mean, they definitely look like they're not playing as they did in the group stage. They look a little lost, a little bit slower than usual. And again, that could just be because they're not here on stage together.
Yeah, circumstances obviously making it very difficult for DarkZero. They're having to play a lot later than they anticipated as well. It's after 9 p.m. right now, so fatigue might be setting in, and they don't really have that that presence in person because they're all separated at the moment as well. Does, you know, even if you want to believe that that doesn't change the atmosphere of a team, it can be very hard to get in the right mindset. I mean, you come out onto the stage, there's all the lights, it feels important, and that can focus you, especially if you're a team that's used to playing on LAN. You're back in your individual rooms, just feels like you're scrimming and may not bring the same fire.
And it's also an unusual environment as well. I mean, where they're sitting, what they're doing, etc. And we spoke about BC on the pre-desk. Let's not forget that he actually played a half-decent match. The stats are going to come up and confirm this for me. He didn't necessarily have the negative gains we're used to, highly negative gains we're used to him having. He walks away with a 50% cost. That's not too bad considering his role. The one player I begged to step up for DZ was Eclipse, and unfortunately he flopped. He was either going to fly or flop, and he hit the flop really hard. But on the other side, I asked Neskin to stand up, and he managed to amass those double digits as well. So the team that walks away with the win today is going to be the one that has the player step up.
Although it was a 7-3 scoreline, I do think their broken rounds from DarkZero looked very good. There was a lot of times they almost brought it back. Pambazoo was in a 1v1 after it being a 1v4, 1 round on trophy. So, I mean, the rounds were a little bit closer than they seemed, but unfortunately, Team 1 clutched out.
Yep. Let's look at one of those rounds. May not be the best round for DarkZero, but you wanted to take this one because round 4 kind of shows a lot of the DarkZero issues that they were having in a nutshell, right?
Yep. Let's pull up that replay right now.
Let's look at it.
All right.
Okay, this is the 2v2 situation. I mean, it was a little simple. Levy was in the right spot. Neskin was there to trade, and Eclipse and Pambazoo just go. We just lost the clip.
Goodbye.
You know why we lost it?
Why?
Because they just wanted to come back to your beautiful face.
Wow.
That's it. That's what we wanted.
Wow.
But we're not even on a single of you. There we go. Now we can
There we
actually
go.
see it.
You know what? There is no single. That's really cute. You know, you know what we didn't eat you out. You put this. It's cute, yeah?
There you go. Getting the glamour shots when we get the replay up. Let's try again. Let's try again.
We got this.
All right, replay attempt number 2.
Heyo.
Okay, this was actually the right round. So in this situation here, it's a 4v3. They actually run in. They get the trades here on the Levy. BC actually will switch his planning spot here because he's exposed from Study. He gets it down in the right position, and then I'm pretty sure they call to watch Study. I'm sure BC calls that. But Pambazoo, unfortunately, is not in the right position, and I don't think he remembered the breach was open. So Neskin gets to creep in and just kill BC. There was no coverage. Eclipse is watching 90 for Lagonis on the flank, and Pambazoo is watching Study, but I don't think he knew that the breach was open. I think he...
That positioning is really odd for me, especially in Eclipse's position right there. If you're covering a plant, you almost want to hover your plant man in that situation, especially when he has a bar coverage. So for me, it's better off to put your life on the line to ensure that that is going to go down. Just a really weird positioning in those moments. And again, I don't want to put this down to the fact that they're not looking at each other side by side like they used to, and that communication breakdown happens, and they're not visually seeing each other, but it could be that simple.
It definitely could. It was a little sloppy compared to what we normally expect from those guys.
I mean, so many factors with DarkZero right now. It is, could be any one of a number of things, you got to believe. We also have Levy highlights to look at. And
there's a lot of those.
Yeah, sure was.
He
started out with back-to-back 3 Ks in the first 2 rounds. Continued on a tear right now. Is he the leading MVP candidate for this series?
Yes, he has to be. Down in Kitchen, I was speaking about him multiple times and the kind of impact he can have, but look how many different operators you saw in just that small replay there that he can play. The versatility, the flexibility, and the mechanical skill, but that doesn't just happen magically. It's obviously also going to happen with the good positioning and the understanding of where he needs to be and why he needs to be there. It is hard to get a player that well-rounded.
Just at the best, Alamau and the Levy show. It was one round, it was Alamau, next round was Levy. 2 rounds in a row was Levy. It just kept going and going. One of them was doing something every single round to bring the round to their team.
So before, in the earlier parts, even when Team 1 was losing, it was still the Alamau and Levy show. They were having very, very strong individual performances even in those losses. So what was changing between their first round robin to their second round robin where their performances stayed very good? What did the rest of the team do to bring them to that next level and get them to the quarterfinals?
Oh no, I'm going to have to eat my words from the pre-desk, aren't I?
Uh-oh.
They're yelling in the background. They're not at me. I feel like it should be at me, but let's just say Lagonis redeemed himself. Shout out to you, man. I don't know if you heard the pre-desk, and I was having a little bit of a grill at you, but you absolutely stepped up, and that's what you want to see for a player that's been having a really struggling major so far. He's come into the playoffs, and he said, I'm here to play, and I'm not just here to plant. I'm also here to hit some good shots, and he got some good C4s. So that's a well-rounded support player, and shout out to him. He did a great job.
It's one map. Let's hold off on that.
For now.
I've seen more bad ones than good ones, but we'll hope he's back in form. That's what I said, too, is that I hope we're talking about how they've stepped up rather than how they're dragging the team down. Right now, stepping up is what both BC and Lagonis have been doing.
Yeah.
100%.
There you go. I'm just hyped about the hype behind us. You guys can't hear it right now, possibly, but this is the kind of hype that is probably going to propel Team 1 into a series win, honestly.
So before we go to the break, let's talk a little bit about Chalet, because this is Team 1's map pick. They did lose once against Cyclops, I believe, and then they came back and won the rematch on this map.
Yeah, 7-4, I believe. That's at least what I've got here. But I mean, the last 6 times they've played it, I believe they have an 83% win rate, which is one of their highest.
I know that DarkZero also does enjoy the map. They have a lot of strategies on it. My biggest worry is I think it's the same thing they're going to have to deal with they did on Villa. Aggressive plays, random jump outs, and things like that. And again, DarkZero already looks a little sloppier than compared to the group stage. And again, not being up there together, I can tell is already messing with them. So I think Chalet is going to probably go a similar route that Villa did.
Ooh, I'm going to come to the defensive DZ here and just simply say what they did did to G2 on Chalet, let's not forget, they allowed G2 to cross their lines of sight, use really long lines of sight themselves, manipulate the fact that you can be on the roof now on Chalet, which you never used to be able to do, and they ripped G2 apart. So I'm kind of hoping that they do that here against a team that is going to flow around the map very, very quickly. You can cut Alamau and Levy off very quickly on this map. Villa, I wouldn't say you can necessarily do that always. 90 windows, the only one, or Astro window, the 2 windows, the only place I think you can really do that.
The biggest difference maker, I think, for this compared to the G2 Team 1 is the pressure. G2 would not apply pressure to DarkZero at all.
Sure.
And Team 1, based off that Villa game, that's all it was every single round, and I expect it to happen again.
Okay, well, before we head into Chalet, it's time to get hyped up for some Predator computers and then disappointed by Kickstar and Intero.
Oh, man, the worst.
What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving community? Join us on this 3rd episode of I Call Next as we discover how to create inspiring content and hype up an entire gaming scene. Hey pal, press play.
Won't you listen?
Welcome back. We've got map number 2 ahead of us, Chalet, and will DarkZero go home? Will the last North American team leave That's the real question. If so, we would guarantee ourselves one Latin American team and one European team in the finals, because you've got Empire and BDS squaring off tomorrow. And you've got Liquid awaiting the winner of this matchup. Could be an interesting regional clash.
Yeah.
For North American fans, they're going to hope to hell that DZ are able to find some momentum, because they did not quite show up the way that we expected on map 1.
Yeah. You know, and speaking of expectations, Parker, let's talk about the poll that we had earlier. It was a very simple one. Who do you think is going to win, essentially? And it actually ended up being 51% in favor of DarkZero. And, yeah, that's, I mean, that's not what we're seeing here. We're not right now.
I mean, it was so challenging to figure out how they're going to do, because DZ looked very strong throughout the group stages.
Yeah.
But then a massive curveball is thrown their way today, completely upending conventional wisdom. And Team 1 just looked like they're settling into a groove. They were so well coordinated.
Yeah.
The amount of rounds that were won because they set up somebody to be flushed out was really a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I have to imagine a number of the people who voted in that community poll maybe didn't know about this, you know, this extenuating circumstances here with DarkZero, of course, with BC and Hyper both having COVID-19, and the entire team being isolated. Oh, I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, okay. No, we want to look at you. Okay.
Yeah, we want to look at. Oh,
they're doing transitions. They're trying to do transitions for production.
So they put their hand on it, and then cuts the next person.
Yeah, but we kind of. I mean, you know,
I mean,
we're
not production.
Yeah.
I mean, it's working out
Actually,
quite effectively.
I thought I have all the camera controls right in front of me.
Levy, by the way, has a great set of eyebrows.
He
I
does.
genuinely envy those eyebrows.
Yeah.
Those are some strong brows.
Yes, indeed.
I wonder if he gets them done.
You know, that's a good question. I mean, I would imagine if you have like particularly strong eyebrows, you do have to maintain them.
Absolutely.
Like you have your ridiculously strong hair, right?
I do.
And I feel like that's a lot of maintenance.
Gaining in strength.
Right, and the more longer it goes.
All right, let's gear up for Chalet. Michael, set the table for this map between these two teams.
So obviously this is make it or break it for DZ. But right now they have not, what's the word? They've not been too terribly impressive over their recent play. So looking at the immediate, I'm worried for DarkZero. For the ban phase, to zoom in on that real quick, I think that DZ needs to maintain some kind of flank watch operator, because it was such a crucial thing for DZ all the way through Villa.
Ooh.
And they're going to ban, really?
Nook. Nook is a very strong operator on Chalet, and if memory serves me correctly, DarkZero has brought out Nook a couple times.
They have.
I mean, you put Hyper on that role, why not? Assuming it was Hyper who played him. Memory is failing me as the amount of times we see it, but that bicycle helmet-looking mask of Nook will not be available. Thatcher will join Mira as well, and last ban, the conventional, probably Valkyrie, but Team 1 like to throw in a little bit of spice here and there.
So this has been played one time by DZ at this event, Chalet. It was played against G2, and DZ managed to win it. It was actually a very impressive win for them. Final ban comes out. That's going to be oNe. However, that same DZ that we saw against G2, not necessarily here today, at least from what we saw in map number 1. On the side of Team 1, they have played this map once through this event. It was against Cyclops, and they also won that. So there's, isolated to this event, there's some good experience for both teams.
That was the crucial match, by the way, upon which they won.
Yep.
And made it into the group, out of the group stages into the playoffs.
That was the comeback, yeah.
A huge matchup. So,
well, Team 1 were carrying the momentum there, and they appear to be still carrying that momentum here.
Yes, and Team 1 will have a date with Team Liquid tomorrow if they prevail here. Not a given, of course, but we will keep our eyes on it. Valkyrie goes unbanned. Wamai was the last operator banned out, and it's a 6th pick.
Yep.
So
I'm a little bit skeptical about leaving Valkyrie in play, Parker.
She's going to be exceptionally strong, and the region that I think has Valkyrie figured out the most is always Latin America.
Yep.
Lagonis will be on that role. Traditionally, he has not been the strongest of players in terms of fragging potential, but the good news is that You don't need to frag on Valkyrie. Her gadget is so critical and crucial for your team. As long as you're IGLing effectively off of them, it doesn't matter.
And Lagonis did, I believe, step up in the last match quite a lot. It wasn't him, of course. It was mostly the Levy show and Alimau as well. But across the board, there was contribution from everyone on T1, or sorry, excuse me, Team 1. So, as we go to Dining Kitchen, an interesting site. It is clearly a heavy top floor roam. Lots of utility, surrogates, reinforcements, Valkyrie cams, the lot invested on the top floor. Kaid Electroclaws. So DarkZero has to figure out, okay, do we want to clear out top floor? Do we want to maybe just hit site directly? If we hit site directly, we have to worry about the vertical and the retake, which Team 1 are very good at. There's a lot to ask here if you're DZ. And these early rounds are very important, considering DZ lost that first map. Their momentum is going to be called into question here. It's weird when you don't have a teammate, right, sitting next to you where you can just give him a fist bump and regain some morale.
You mean just like we did?
Just like we did.
Just like we fist bumped right now.
Yeah, they couldn't see it. Nobody can see it.
Yes.
We did do it.
It's very intimate.
And it's important. You know, it is. When you lose a round, to just turn to your left, turn to your right, and be like, oh, I've got teammates. They're here for me.
Now you heard a hail of gunfire to start off the round as there was tons of caliber-based destruction going on. Surrey Gates also opened up. As you pointed out, this is a kitchen defense, but a number of players from Team 1 are occupying that top floor in and around the bedroom. Levy in particular, who was a standout for so many rounds, and while he might not have been ultimate top frag on his team, he single-handedly won at least 2 rounds that I can recollect.
Well, we talked about the depth of Team 1 earlier. There goes the stuns. Lagonis will be affected, but there's nobody to follow up the stun, so it's really not that useful. Campazoo all the way over on the west side of the building, outside. Eclipse finally makes it in, and there is coverage from the windows as well. He's got support, but the gas canisters are forcing him up the stairs. Difficult fight to take, but he's doing it. He hasn't died just yet. C4 going out. He sees the Valkyrie, but won't land the shot. Pushing in on Levy, and down he goes. SMG-11 out. He's going to use it while it's still there. Nade pulled and ready to throw it towards Piano, but it's a pincer movement here. A cutoff from Hyper, and DZ pick up the first 2 kills. Neskin will answer back, though. As Hyper goes down, that's your player on Big Window Repel.
Well, DarkZero's managed to take out the defenders playing up top, but how can you deal with a site execute now? Because that's the next step for you. 40 seconds remain for you to be able to pull this one off. Information will be gathered at this point. BC holds onto the diffuser as you come to expect. And a small rotate for KDS, but he's read like a book, and an opportunity seized yet again for Eclipse as DarkZero continues to go up. Alimau runs out, though. This is a brazen move. They'll look to get him as he pulls back in, but there's a reinforcement there to stop him. From above, Eclipse doing some overwatch. Alimau realizes how tough of a spot he's in. He somehow managed to get out of there, but no, he doesn't see NJR on the window, leaving Neskin all alone. Firing through the wall, a 1v2. BC has that diffuser. He needs to go for the plant. He does just that. Eclipse has been mighty strong, but he's been downed, and all he needs to do is get to BC on time, and Neskin with a monstrous clutch, just like in map 1. Team 1 take round number 1.
Wow. What a play there from Neskin, and that is despite the fact that we didn't see Alimau have any more success by West Lobby. By the way, I just have to say, he does the run out that Rin did, but it worked for him, and it's so silly that he got away with it. He did that run out because of the nade on the window. He had no other choice. Anyway, so obviously, DZ, a little bit of a choke there. They put themselves up way, way early, 2 players in advance, in the advantage, and they still cannot lock out a round. When they push in there, not a lot of time left. When they're hitting the site, Neskin is ready, and he's playing time very adeptly. He gets control of the player in the west hallway, and he can stop the defuse plan just before it goes down. Those kinds of plays, Parker, are why we have seen Team 1 make this miraculous run that they've had coming out of the groups into the playoffs. And it is so, what's the word? Confidence instilling? That
nothing's slowing them down.
Yeah, that nothing is slowing them down, that they're maintaining the momentum that we saw from yesterday.
I mean, I would be riding high after what happened 2 days ago against Cyclops.
Right, but what I'm trying to get across here is most Siege teams that are like Team 1, that are momentum-based, and they clearly are, that where, you know, the emotions matter a lot. Yeah. Most of those teams when they are allowed to step off the stage and reset their mental, the momentum is gone. I've seen it countless times where the next day, they're just a shadow of their previous self. And that is simply not true for Team One, at least between yesterday and today. And that is confidence instilling. That's what I'm trying to get at.
All DZ already find themselves in tough right now at the present moment, as just Levy did too. Caught between a rock and a hard place, and he's punished for that.
Yeah, that was a little bit too much on the peak there, and you can see Neskin trying to recover some of this, but he's not going to be able to.
Traded off on the Valkyries. Lagonis now on the Kaid. As
Ooh.
Neskin awaits Hyper to play around this corner, but I don't think Neskin can be spotted, at least from the angle that he's at. A single bullet from Hyper will announce his position, but Neskin doesn't want to engage in that. Probably rightfully so.
It's probably a fat finger. I don't think he really intended to shoot there. And that's why he went off the angle. Here's the push upstairs for the Yana. It's not a clone, and here come the bullets. Pambazoon gets Neskin, and almost a second. Alamau put down to about 30 HP, and he'll get the heck out of dodge.
Really well played by DZ on the entry there, and they're just narrowing down the players from Team One as they continue to take more and more map control. Next one up for Piano is KDS.
Well, this is the same exact position we saw at DZ in the previous round, but this time they're going to add to it almost immediately. Down goes Alimau, and you've only got 120 left on the clock here. I mean, well, that's actually a lot of time for the attack. What I meant to say is it's too much time for the defense to play this off of time.
KDS is dropped down as Alimau gets picked back up. Lagonis is down below 2.
What?
This is a nice double nitro cell. Give me a break.
What?
And just like that, we're on even footing. This is also a garage defense, the least defendable site historically on this map. And all of the action has occurred spread out across the 2 floors other than the bomb site. It's unbelievable so far.
A cheeky kill here or there, maybe one for Alimau, and that is going to be a hard to recover round for DZ. If Alimau gets 1 kill and his teammates don't die before it, then this is going to be a Team 1 round because he's so low on HP. If he has any influence now, it means double any other player's influence.
Diffuser's in the hands of NJR in the final 30 seconds. DarkZero need to figure out where they're going to hit the site from. They are spread wildly with Pambazoo watching from above, potentially on flank watch. NJR's over right now by Trench. Alimau's still up there. He can drop at any point, and they'll need to be conscious of this. Lagonis misses out, though. He gets, or Pambazoo rather, gets smoked, and another for KDS. Patrolling, and a third is in the books as the Sophia trudges on in, and it's a huge 3K from KDS. Back-to-back heroic efforts, first from Neskin and then from KDS, and Team One have broken the spirits of DarkZero.
Are we absolutely sure that Miracle does not in fact play for Team One? Because we are seeing some miraculous rounds here, Parker.
I don't even know what to,
The crazy thing is that they're back-to-back, as you mentioned. Normally it's one, out of a dozen rounds end up like the last 2 just did.
But they started off Villa doing the exact same thing.
That's the thing, yeah. And it's real crazy, Parker. It's actually bamboozling. No, but that C4 to start that comeback, and then DZ completely lost the plot, frankly. The weird thing is they started pushing towards Alimau almost as if they knew that he was in piano, and then they just stopped mid-track. And they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and funnel through the wine door and maybe send one through blue.
I don't even understand. I mean, they lost their hard breach, and that might have been the big deal as well. BC is the lone hard breach. They didn't want to quarrel with the actual garage wall, so they left it. But they had opened up some hatches that hadn't already been opened by Team One. So,
the other thing we're talking about Team One a lot here.
What are we talking about?
But we were discussing how the rounds we're seeing from Team One are crazy, right? And it's so odd to see them in succession. But the thing that is also worth noting is that if I'm a DZ player right now, my mental is absolutely chalked. I mean, think of the rounds they've lost. Yeah. Not just in this map, but in the previous map. It is just spiraling out of control. And it's weird because DZ's got to be thinking to themselves, we're doing everything right. What is going on?
This Team One team is becoming very formidable, and if I'm Liquid, I'm looking at this with great worry across my face. Liquid, the favorites for a lot of people in this event, and they have looked as strong as ever, especially today against Damwon Kia Gaming. But boy, oh boy, this Team One is just, they are right now playing on another level. They've ascended to a style of gameplay where it doesn't seem like anybody is able to shut them down.
Yeah, I don't think saying ascended is too dramatic. I think it's actually appropriate here because they, you know, it's not to say that they're playing the best Siege. There's different interpretations of that, but they are playing their type of Siege, Team 1's interpretation of Siege, absolutely flawlessly. And that is not something that every team can do day to day. So, Pambazoo going to get that Prisma, and then you're going to open up the windows and library. Usually, the attackers clear out somewhere else before they start hitting library, but it appears to be a direct for DarkZero, and KDS will just leave.
Walk away as the X-Kairos go off by the wall looking to Chimney inside a library and give him a nice long sight line, an angle to play off of.
Attackers have located a bomb.
He made the right call considering that wall got opened up.
It did, and yes, and they've completely fallen off. So you can hear some pinging going away from the Alibi clone. This Ali Mao's gadget buys them some more time. Team 1 now repositioning. They've got time at their disposal, half of the round to go. And an opening created right next to Ali Mao. KDS is the first casualty, though. DarkZero are doing quite well on these opening picks, but it's the late round where they have really struggled. This has been a problem for DarkZero in the past, and it seems like old habits are dying hard.
Well, that could be a good cut there. Alamao exposed, but he sees Eclipse, and he'll land the shots. Not Eclipse. Not the second follow-up, though. Eclipse looking for a different angle, and he's not going to find it. Neskin missing an opportunity and giving his position away as Hyper gets another kill for his team. But there, great pick from Neskin, and he sees the foot of another over by Chimney, but it's Levy to get the kill. The same target, two different players, and Levy gets a second with the pistol. Fighting back and forth here, and we'll end out in a 2 versus 2. But look at this. DarkZero have firm site control as NJR vaults into the main lobby.
NJR will have to be the one to stop any potential retake as BC gets the plant down. Levy is there waiting. There's some pings and some marks in. This can be capitalized off of Neskin. He's looking towards bar backstory, gives his position away. It's across from Levy. No way! How many clutches are these kids going to pull off, Michael? 3 in a row for Team 1.
And a 4K for Levy to cap off that round. Wow. And look at their faces. Look at them. Oh my. They could not be more jubilant. And rightfully so. I mean, what is going on? You don't normally like to say that as a caster, mind you. But in this instance, it's really it's a fair question because we are seeing incredible round after incredible round out of Team 1. To the point at which it's actually bringing into my mind, are they possibly one of the top contenders for the finals? I mean, if they can play this Siege through every remaining day of this event, then absolutely. But there's no guarantee that that is the case. And that's why we talk about the consistent teams, like Team Liquid, for example. Even when Team Liquid's having a bad day, they are still playing good Siege. Team Empire, when they're having a bad day, they are still playing good Siege. I have seen Team 1 playing bad Siege. When they're not in a good headspace, they do not play very well. And they are not going to be able to beat any of the remaining teams in this tournament, even if they get past DarkZero. So it's all about that headspace. It's all about that morale, that momentum. If Team 1 can maintain it, I don't think there's anything they can't do. At least that's my observation based on the Siege I'm watching right now. It's really incredible.
Objective is to defuse a bomb.
I am astounded. I am absolutely astounded with how and what we are seeing at the moment. It is.
Oh no, this one.
It's bananas. It's absolutely bananas.
Is he actually gonna thread that needle through that tiny break in the barricade? Did they know that that would land where they want? We've seen this C4 before. Usually they open the whole window.
We'll watch with bated breath.
Doesn't appear to be anyone from DZ over there just now, but they are setting up for a Solarium take, and so there might be someone there later, and oh yeah, even Eclipse is running by it right now. Oh, if he gets a repel, but he's not in position to see it anymore. Lagonis just was not patient enough.
I mean, you burned 45 seconds just lying there. How much more are you going to commit to that?
They didn't even know he was lying there. It's just that's just DZ being slow, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, 1 minute off of the clock.
Yep.
And a perfect rotation for Team 1. They seem like nothing is going to slow them down. They'll go back to the very first site where it all began, kitchen.
solid sight, I have to say.
On the main floor, you'll see a lot of teams invest up above, and Team 1 seems quite committed to have somebody playing on the bottom floor as well. So a really well put out spread. And DZ, excellent on their opening frags. The mid-round to especially the late round, very problematic for them.
So you're not going to be able to get the trophy control that you want if you're DZ because there's, I mean, Anchor's playing that position. Oh, he sees the head, but he doesn't pull this trigger, and it's going to be the leadoff for DZ once again, which they have been consistently getting, but an immediate answer actually at the same time, and Hyper goes down. So, even man count.
Tough circumstances for DarkZero to find themselves in as a team, but they're going to have to work together in a sharper fashion right now as Team 1 seem to be coming up in every opportunity. And look at this brazenness. Lagonis committed to going down swinging as he fires over towards Library. Pambazoo walks away from that one with some damage on him, just as Lagonis did. It's opening from KDS still there. He can give some backup to his team, but he gets crushed by BC, who's in the site, by the way, and they don't seem to be any the wiser. That's not a clone, that's Pambazoo himself, and Lagonis takes him down, and BC will continue to wander just above the site. At some point, he's going to need to drop, maybe open up a hatch. Eclipse is up there with the soft destruction as well as we hit the final 30 seconds of the round. Down the Solarium stairs towards Trophy. BC will wander, firing as deep as he can on in. There's one smoke to go out and greet him. That's the last toxic canister from Ali Mao that's been used as the Vault cameras give away BC's position. Neskin spotted out. That's the Legion down for the count, leaving Team 1 to trail. And it will get even worse as Ali Mao will have to be a maestro, but he can't do it. He can't conduct a symphony. And right now, DarkZero finds their very first round.
Great stuff there from DZ. They took it nice and slow. Burning out all the smokes on Trophy Window. Following that up with a Solarium take, which was not very contested from Team 1. And then, once they had Solarium, let's just flood the rest of the roamers on the top floor. That works out great. No one from Team 1 was prepared for the clear upstairs, and they all got felled one after another. Then it's easy to transfer over to Trophy because you've already got Solarium. You just go down the staircase. Easy peasy. You're right there. And at that point, it was just DZ's guns being so very alive. And that vertical play from Eclipse. Beautiful stuff. As well, DZ, very importantly, for the first time in a very long time, they held their flank.
They managed to finally stick with it through the middle of that round and then continue to push forward, isolating the last remaining players of Team 1. But you know what? After so many rounds, the way that Team 1 was playing with that moxie and that confidence, it's not sustainable. Teams will over-peak, they'll overextend, they'll get too cute and take engagements, and even if they don't win the engagement or even lose it, they still give their position away.
I love it when you say too cute.
It made me feel really uncomfortable.
Good.
10 seconds left.
Okay.
It's okay, Parker. Don't worry, you're fine.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Thank you.
Keep calling him cute.
They get too cute, as in they shouldn't be doing it. They get cutesy. They shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
And yeah, I mean, it's just not an ideal spot to find yourself in. Team 1 peaked a couple times a little bit too aggressively, and it hurt them for it.
I think that...
I mean, the 3 rounds that were won by Team 1 were all desperation clutches.
Yeah.
At some point, your luck has to run out, right? Right?
Well, that's what we keep talking about, though, with Team 1. That's what keeps getting brought up, is that Team 1, it's almost like their luck doesn't run out. At least that's what's been happening for the last, well, 2 days. So, I don't know. You're right, Parker, in the conventional sense. And that's why I said earlier, if Team 1 could keep playing Siege like the Siege we're seeing right now, then I don't know if there's anything that can stop them. But I agree with you, at some point, they won't be able to. Now, I don't know if we'd necessarily hit that point yet. That last round could just be a flash in the pan. DZ played it well. Team 1, again, as you said, they got a little cutesy. And it didn't work out. But that doesn't mean it's over. I really do want to see how long Team 1's lucky run can go. I just, I mean, if it ended here, I wouldn't be surprised, but I want to know.
Who will be the first team to essentially vanquish them after their 3-0 run that they went on, especially that incredible tiebreaker, but we can focus on that later because right now, DarkZero have their work cut out for them.
Yep.
2 rounds away from tying up with Team 1. Definitely possible. On a map like Chalet that we talk about and emphasize tends to skew towards the attackers on a lot of bomb sites, especially this downstairs defense, which, well, Team One pulled a rabbit out of a hat the last time they were here.
And this time, they're, oh no, the tricking from the Electro Claw, and that's going to save the drop and connector. Huge Electro Claw there from Lagonis. It'll be a nade to destroy it though, just a second, and job done. So down it goes, and they should be able to open this up thanks to Hibana having a lot of that hard breach for the drops. Now, as we see DZ setting up, there's still roamers from Team One, plenty actually, that could make some plays.
Look at how close Levy is to the action. All of this is happening in the main lobby, and he was playing up in kitchen. I don't know if that hatch was a strategic decision or not. Grenade will go up, and Ali Mao gets around it, and Pambazoo done and dusted. Eclipse technically credited with the very first kill, though, as DZ clean up, but they battled back and forth. DarkZero comes out ahead as a big double kill from Eclipse is enough. Hyper tries to go cross body as Ali Mao sees him, and now will drop. You can't let him get away, but he does. Hyper swings and turns and shuts down Ali Mao. KDS was the hero of the previous round, but he's gonna look the wrong way here. Trying to outduel two different players. He doesn't have his targets lined up appropriately, and DZ simply outmuscle him with the numbers they have. They're one round away from tying up the first half.
Well played there to DZ, and you can see the sheer quantity of caution being exuded by DZ's players, and I cannot blame them. They're taking everything baby steps, one at a time, just learning to walk. Let's not take any risks lest we fall over, because that's what's been happening to DZ. The first 3 rounds, they kept falling over. And it was a lot of it was due to Team One. We cannot discredit them. But DZ now are making sure that both their heels and their toes are on the floor before they take their next step. And it's exactly what they need for this scenario. And it's netted them 2 rounds now. So well done by DZ, playing it cautious. Oh, and also playing it together. The 1v1s are not the answer against Team One. They are not. So don't let them have any.
I mean, sustainability is the name of the game when it comes to the way that they were playing. You cannot rely on clutching a 1vX through these hero plays round after round after round. And yet, Team One were pulling it off. They were able to pull it off back in the very first map on Villa, but that was a totally different ballgame here. DZ seem like they're more comfortable, and even though they had some stumbles, and Team One were able to win those rounds in the dying moments, DZ still looked like they were far better prepared than what we saw on Villa. We'll see if it continues now, as this is the final defense for Team One and DarkZero's last opportunity on attack.
I still do feel, though, that what Team One has been giving us in the rounds where they're winning is some of the best Siege. It's incredible. On an individual level, not necessarily on a strategic or team level, but it's still awesome to watch. Hath the well run dry is the question. And the answer we will find out in just a bit.
You don't want to lose momentum if you're Team One. Funny enough, outside of the technical timeout that was taken back in Villa, there were no timeouts taken by either of these teams.
They want to go.
So, I mean, why would Team One do that? I don't know the circumstances surrounding whether DarkZero can. I assume that Mint is likely in their server, listening to their comms, but
they probably can.
I don't want to wrongly speculate.
Yeah, of course. I don't imagine they wouldn't be able to, but I do not know. That would be weird. Anyway, I think that they know what the problem is, and I don't think that they need to stop to fix it, frankly, because what we're seeing here is I mean, Team One are doing much the same stuff round by round, and you know, we just got to confirm, by the way, just in case everyone.
Same rules. Mint is there. He can call a timeout when he'd like, just as Team One can. So.
Yeah. So there's clarity on that point.
The option is there for them should they want it.
Ooh, okay. So that's actually going to be an easy stop there from Levy, but he doesn't land the shot. I think the wall opens, yeah, but it's a little high, so he can continue to crouch, but Pambazoo, what a shot.
DZ have been flawless on these opening picks. What a remarkable stretch for them. Just simply winning these early engagements, and Team One can be scrappy and fight back, but you can't stop. You can't continue to forfeit that first pick. You got to stop at some point because you just dwindle in numbers.
It's going to cause problems in the long run. And, I mean, we might see that if DZ managed to take this round a 3-3 half, that's not too bad. I mean, this was looking a lot more desperate for a while there. 3-0 for Team One, and they looked completely dominant, even though they were clutching up those rounds. They just looked like nothing could stop them. Last 2 rounds, now this one, and suddenly that's all changed.
All this is a bar gaming defense. The same 3 sites used reliably by Team 1. Top floor, a bedroom, does not brought out at all. For DarkZero, now they've got control of library, continue to work away at the floor, and then you'll have to drop. A grenade goes down, tossed on in. Neskin falls as well just earlier on. Pambazoo on 1 HP, so he will cling to dear life. If he touches that electrified panel, he's dead, by the way. But he dances so gracefully and swiftly around it. DZ will need to look for a plant with 20 seconds left to go. BC holds onto that diffuser, and he'll have to hop through the window, but sustains a lot of damage in the process and still hasn't rightfully made it so. NJR is down for the count. Pambazoo's 1 HP follows. BC gets swung on. That's diffuser surrendered, so DZ will have to go frag hunting. They do just that, but a 1v1 between Levy and Hyper is left, and what a 4K from Levy as Team 1 takes the first half 4-2.
And that's his second 4K in this map, if I'm not mistaken. The man is going absolutely wild. And that's the siege that we saw in the first 3 rounds of this map. It's the siege that is ever elusive for so many teams the world over. It's just, it doesn't matter how poorly you play in your positioning, how poorly your strategy is, or your setup, or how poor your strategy is, or your setup. It's irrelevant because you have players like Levy who will just clutch up when the moment is right. And DZ completely collapsed on Team 1. They were shattering Team 1's defense there. And then Levy just walked from point to point to point and picked up 4 kills. I mean, we weren't watching him for some reason because apparently he needs to get his 3rd 4K before we focus on him in the team fights. But whatever wherever he happened to be during the fight, he was always winning it. And they were all isolated too.
Swapping sides now, the first half, 6 opening duels in favor of DarkZero, yet they only took 2 rounds. That's a grim statistic. The rotation for Team 1 was kitchen, garage, and bar. And they went through that a second time around. This is a North American meta showing up for DarkZero, which involves Frost being used extensively on this bomb site, which is bar gaming, the very first defense of DarkZero. Those Frost mats will go down under the double window inside of gaming, and then likely one will go up on the window inside of library, as teams like to hold control of library. It's a crucial part of the map because once you take it as an attacker, you can then begin to flush out the defenders that are playing down below.
So I have a question for you here, Parker.
Absolutely.
Now that Team 1 are on attack and they set the tempo,
yes,
do you think that it's going to be better or worse for DZ? What did I miss? I was looking at you.
What did he just use to? Oh, it was to break the Aruni gate on the main door. I
was
so confused, and so are we again.
What?
Neskin walks in and picks up a 2-piece, shut down only by Pambazoo, who now needs to drop, surrendering control of library, relinquishing the top floor. Goodness, what a single play from Team 1 can do.
I mean, frankly, DZ wasn't ready. And Neskin just walked in. They weren't on their shields. They didn't have their guns up. And, I mean, it's a blessing that Pambazoo salvaged that, but he shouldn't have to salvage that. It shouldn't be that should be a free pick. That should be, oh, Neskin's dead because he walked into our prepared defense. We were deep into the round already. There's no excuse.
Just an absolute stunner. Pambazoo on the ground was looking for another target as he was the sole member of DZ to find their way on the board and fix the issues that his team had inherited after Neskin walked right in. I mean, it's your sledge.
Oh, how did he see Pambazoo? And he lands a single shot, but that's continuing to chip away at Pambazoo's HP. And considering what Pambazoo's been capable of, you want to keep him as high as possible. Down goes Eclipse, the current top performer for his team, right next to Hyper. And now it's just BC and Pambazoo.
Grenade tossed out. No target to be found. It'll go off. Pambazoo needs to be very wary of this. The double reinforced panel will keep BC safe for now, but he'll be flushed out at some point. The numbers advantage for Team 1 is significant. And they will look to hang on to that as there's more destruction work from above. A grenade in hand for KDS, but he didn't know where it wanted to go, so lest he not blow himself up, he puts it back. Goes over to the back bar and gives his position away, but there's nobody to receive that as Pambazoo tries to leave the site, but KDS punishes him for that. BC in a 1v4, he sees one target, but he's not successful. Another round for Team 1 as they march towards putting DZ in the dirt. 5-2 for them.
Wowee. I mean, at this point, you can kind of tell from DZ's play. Their mental is gone. And I don't think I've seen DZ's mental absolutely shattered in a really long time. Like, it generally does not happen ever, actually. I feel like if I were to go back and check all the VODs, I could probably count those times on one hand since DZ's inception. They are generally a pretty consistent team. They will go slowly up or down in terms of their performance, but they never fall out. And I mean, we don't know that that's the case right now, but that last round was pure negligence. 2 picks for free on someone pushing into your crossfire? You even had the heads up on the second guy. The call went out. It must have. And if it didn't, more proof in the pudding of the mental being chopped.
And no timeout taken either, by the way.
Yep, and they can take a timeout. That is 100%.
Are you going to take a timeout? If you lose this round, you're on that razor's edge. You take a timeout when you've only got 3 minutes to sort your stuff out?
Yeah, it should have been last round.
Attackers must locate.
It really should have been last round. Well, it's you know, we are where we are, Parker. And we find ourselves in a situation where Team 1 are absolutely destroying DarkZero, to be frank. And it's despite the excellent siege many of these rounds we are seeing from DZ.
Yeah.
They're giving us good strategy, they're giving us good setups. That last round was definitely a fluke. But it is, you know, it's an example of where we find ourselves as well. It is... DZ's not in their own headspace. They're not in a good spot.
Well, it sure looks like Liquid and Team 1 will tussle tomorrow, but this is really something. Ali Mao missing out on an opportunity from way deep below. There was a run out as well.
Scary there for, I believe, Pambazu for just a little bit.
It's not actually a run out. It's a Prisma that's been tossed out.
Oh, he's trying to bait.
It's to cover runouts as well.
Yeah, but it's not actually gonna get anything just yet. This angle from Ali Mao, by the way, real great. That's good to see just outside of the bathroom. You could see all the way at the top. This is one of the things that Buck can do that Sledge cannot, and this is why he is still relevant.
Levy right now on 10 kills, 4 deaths, playing on that flank watch role. As Neskin will drone on in and try to guide somebody towards the closet.
Ooh.
The Kaid just dancing around, but Levy's hesitation will cost him. But that one, nice shot onto Pambazu. Levy can swing on in and do some serious damage. A grenade goes off and it chunks some HP from both BC and Eclipse. Team 1 firing on all cylinders right now, and they've got the start that they wanted in this round.
DZ has to do something aggressive, spontaneous. They need to make a statement here, Parker. They need to stop this clear advantage that Team 1 has round by round. They are just slowly chipping away at DZ's defense, and they're doing it so confidently and in such a reserved nature that it's hard to counter. It requires their own brazen plays on DZ's side, and we're just not seeing that as KDS gets another pick for his team through the drone hole, double drone hole, onto NJR.
And that's your smoke down for the count. BC will join, and in the afterlife, they will witness what Eclipse and Hyper are capable of. A pre-placed Nitro cell that will await Ali Mao as he works his way down the stairs from Solarium into Trophy. And DZ are in a really hard spot right now, and a flawless round is certainly shaping up. All they have to do is find Hyper, and they will. KDS clutches out the round for his team, a flawless to move Team 1 to series point.
There must be a tactical timeout now. Either that or DZ just doesn't care to put that effort forward. Because, I mean, frankly, these last few rounds, I am not watching DZ versus Team 1, Parker. And I hate to say it so bluntly, but there it is. Also, I mean, I must, again, I want to this is very important. I want to pay credit where it's due. Team 1 are giving us incredible siege. It's just that I know that DZ can do the same thing, and they're not. That's what's the the frustrating point. I don't know. That double drone hole kill, by the way, that's a pretty standard angle. I'm surprised that we're drifting in front of that, opening up the opportunity. It's the same thing for Pambazu. Why is he peeking the big window? You know someone's on rappel there. Your teammate had to have called that out because he made the cross in a way where he was obviously aware someone's on the window. So where's the communication? Where's the relay of information? Why is DZ not checked in?
Still no timeout taken by either team, by the way.
Yeah.
And boy, this is a celebration for Team One.
Oh,
Yesterday, the Brazilian fans spamming, I don't speak Portuguese, but it was something like, do you believe in magic?
Do you believe in magic? No.
10 seconds.
No.
Not right now.
That was 2 days ago, obviously, when they ran the gauntlet and managed to make it out of the group stages into the playoffs. And frankly, everybody continues to bet against this Team One squad, but time and time again, they surprise us. They had a rough start in their group.
Ooh.
Nice toss by BC.
Giga brain.
Big brain there, and I would love to have seen Ali Mao's face as he ate that nitro cell.
That's a good one. And that's practice. That's the routine. That's what we like to see from DZ, what we know we can see from DZ. Maybe this is the start of something special. But
I sure got one hell of a mountain to climb.
yeah, it's 4 rounds in a row that DZ will need, obviously, to bring us to overtime. And even then, they need to win 2 in OT. That's tricky with the way that Team One have been playing. And, you know, to be considered, and this is, you know, I want to stress this as well. We brought it up a few times, but for those of you who maybe weren't here when we oh, hang on a second, air jab, and it's a run out here from DZ, and they get away with it. Oh, I like that they're getting like that, though. I like that they're taking risks because it's better than just slowly letting the enemy beat you. Levy, though, will get BC, and down he goes. Again, I was going to point out the fact that we do have 2 players on DZ who currently find themselves sick, and that is worth keeping everyone, you know, appraised on, because if you're not aware of that, it is an extenuating circumstance, and it could cause DZ to play worse.
In fact, their performance actually haven't been the issue so far today. Hyper has been consistent, and there you go. Finds Neskin, punishes him for it. Still down in kitchen as Team One have still a trail, but there's work to be done for both of these teams. ADS will eat out a flash as Lagona swings on in. Nobody from DZ to contest that. Levy will swing in as well as Team One just storms the gate. Hyper picks up his double kill, though, and his position is unknown. As you can see, confusion from KDS. He sees the Aruni by Piano. The Hibana's there in tow, but Eclipse punishes both of them, and DZ get round 3.
I think Hyper got that kill through the hatch.
I believe so as well.
He was playing down below, and we saw there that Team One made the determination, hey, you know what? Site's clear. Let's go. And they went, but it just wasn't enough. Look at that C4.
Show me Ali Mao's face, please. I wanted to see it.
We're not going to see it.
I wanted to see it.
I'm sure it was a big O face. Anyway, DarkZero, Signs of Life. Tickets sold at noon, $10.
Nice C4 BC. There you go. Called out. And
Respect paid.
Doubt you're going to see that one again.
I don't think so either. And even if it does come out, it's obviously not going to be useful, as it has now been read. Once you do it once, you may not do it again in the same match. And if you do, shame on the team that lets you.
What a coronation this has been for Team One over the last couple days.
Yeah.
You've made a ton of fans with their, well, that one video that was spread on social media of the elation and the joy as they won their match against Cyclops.
Yep. And they seem to be carrying that forward into this match.
They've been having fun.
They have been, yeah.
They are sitting in the studio with us, not too far away on the stage. I mean, quite far away, but theoretically not that far.
Not terribly. Not
Probably
far.
40 feet away.
Yeah,
50 feet away.
Not what we're used to. They're usually much farther.
20-ish meters.
The point is we can hear the cheering.
Yes.
We can hear the laughter.
They are in perpetual good spirits,
Yes.
is the way to put it. They have not slowed down, and they are exceedingly happy at all times. And that's the right kind of attitude to have, and for good reason, with the way that they've been playing.
Looks like they've got their serious faces on. I'm just looking over right now. Looks like they got their serious faces for... I mean, DarkZero have won some rounds here. This is getting a little bit more tenuous, and I mean, nobody wants to let a match go longer than it ought to. So, obviously, the simple reasoning here is just, all right, let's focus up. Let's get this done.
Some late frost mats being set down by BC, as I don't know if he knew where he wanted to take them. One goes onto the big window. Library being held by Pambazoo from above. He's potentially wary of somebody going towards Chimney, and that's where his attention was turned to. But Team One seemed quite committed to this library take. If they can find Pambazoo, isolate him, and take him out of the fight, that would be particularly damning. And, well, Neskin, I hope that you enjoy your eyesight, because that one was particularly bright.
Yeah, that's... I mean, it doesn't end up mattering. It's a little bit fewer stuns for clear. And, oh, this is going to matter as KDS goes downstairs, and he is eliminated by Eclipse. Nori, thanks to this barricade. Alamau, you could tell, wanted to throw himself into that situation, but He just could not. And it's good forward thinking for DarkZero, and they'll walk away from that engagement happy.
Hyper still creeping up downstairs. Nobody's down there right now for him to contend with. So while his attention is down there, the rest of Team One look elsewhere.
Oh.
No damage has been done since that ensuing fight onto KDS.
Might need another 4K from Levy for this one to lock out. He's given us plenty so far. Neskin is, I think, just dropping there. No, he's going to be trying for top control. So this is still a focus upstairs for Team One. He's going to hit the Prisma, though, and it'll force him to reassess. He's now somewhat exposed due to those marks. Generally speaking, we don't see a lot from Team One in terms of control. And looks like they're going for libraries. We hit the last minute.
And there you go, first K fatality to fall is Eclipse. Alamau traded right off. NJR still playing over by Chimney. He's pinched though, and Levy just walks right in and takes him down. At a 3v3 with the final push about to happen and unfold in front of our very eyes. Team One have the control on top, but they have to translate it to the site. Levy holding off a push on the library stairs. The one player that's currently offsite is Hyper. He was spending most of the round down in the basement lurking, but his return to the site could be swift and particularly damning. Neskin taking out the 4, and he sees the Jaeger of Panbazoo, but he can't capitalize as Panbazoo relocates. His eyes are going to be trained close to BC with Hyper still in this particular position. This will be a tough shot for Hyper to make, and Neskin might walk right into it. Lagonis takes out Hyper, so no, the Aruni is not going to be a significant factor here. Panbazoo's been down as well by Levy, so BC will need to clutch up, but he won't do it. DarkZero gets sent home, and we've got an all-Brazilian semifinal with Team Liquid versus Team One tomorrow.
As well as an all-European semi, and it looks like the two regions have been locked in, Parker. Beautiful win there for Team One. They played some amazing Siege here today and yesterday. And by Jove, they are writing some seriously impressive history for Siege.
Not just defeating DarkZero, but doing so triumphantly.
Yeah.
A 7-3 on Chalet to answer that victory on Villa earlier on. And goodness, what is going to slow down Team One right now, because many teams have tried and nobody's found an answer over the last couple days.
That's what I'm saying. If Team One can maintain this siege, I don't know who can stop them. I don't know if they could do that, though. A lot of teams have been in the same position as Team One right now, save the rematch, and they've started to falter as they came closer to the end. So we'll see as they go on in this bracket.
Well, for many people, the favorites to win the whole thing are Team Liquid. And that's who Team One is going to play tomorrow. But the good news is they'll be relatively primed and ready for that one. They quarrel in BR6 weekly. So if there's any two teams that know each other, it's them. The semifinal bracket is set, though, and you're correct, as BDS and Empire also play tomorrow. So no matter what, a European team and a Brazilian team will be in the finals.
You know, that actually might be a disadvantage for Team One going up against Liquid, because Liquid knows them so well, but those thoughts are for others to discuss, and we'll go ahead and toss over to the desk.
All right, I hate to be a buzzkill here, Kickstar, and I am very hyped, don't get me wrong, about the 6-map win streak that Team One is on, but let's not go too deep when they were just playing against DarkZero in a pretty weakened state. I don't feel that maybe that's the best judge of their abilities. Thoughts?
Oh, 100%. I think DarkZero is struggling not being together, and obviously the sickness and whatever they got going on over there is not good, but I actually think the biggest problem is not being together.
I actually think, and it's funny enough for me to say, because we were criticizing the supports, you know, whether or not they were stepping up and whether that was something that we would see BC either do away from the team or not do as a result of not being around the entire group. And actually, he played, you know, pretty well considering he was away from the rest of the team. So I don't know what the dynamic is there for them, but I definitely think that overall, as a cohort, this was definitely not the showing. And I think we can say with absolute certainty, considering what they did in groups, that this is not what we would have seen them at full power.
And you thought that they would, if they were at full power, they would have won this match
absolutely.
too. Okay.
Absolutely. I would have. I know you disagree, but I think that, yes.
Although I do think that Team One kind of got away with a couple of rounds they probably shouldn't have, I still think they would have pulled it out, whether if that was in 3 maps or 2. I still think Team One would have had their number this game.
Ooh. All right. I don't know. I think it's mechanical skill versus strategy, and I don't know which one would have come out on top at the fullest extent.
Did you have any, when we look at these highlights here, powered by a Predator, you see the Nook ban coming in. That's because of DarkZero's performance with this operator on Chalet in the group stage. Was very good at that time, especially in their matchup against G2, the first game that they played. Was there something about Team 1's performance on this map that gives you hope in a tough matchup in the future against Team Liquid?
I mean, their adaptability, their versatility, I'm sure Skies will agree with me here. It didn't matter. I mean, this was the exact moment I wanted to reference round 7. Go back in the VOD. My point there was that in round 7, they didn't destroy shields. They didn't have the necessities to be able to get rid of those Aruni gates and everything like that. You know what they did instead? Use their superior mechanical skill and use sound buffers to be able to get power positions really quickly. That's adaptability you don't get in every team.
Mechanical skill and surprise factor was the definition of Team 1 that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we're bringing the stats up as well, because there is a certain man who stood up, at least for me there, just a little bit, and then Levy,
He's looking real good.
Just incredible, the kind of game that he was able to. I know you were in the back room. You guys aren't privy to the kind of information in the back room, but Skies was screaming Levy's name. So put that image in your head.
Levy just had a game, man. He wasn't missing. He was making everything happen. Him and Neskin had some crazy clutches.
Yeah, really impressive performance overall. I started to get a bit worried about him at the start of Chalet.
Yes.
He's like 0-2, but then he ripped off a 4K and then got 15 kills and was looking absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, you just need to, you know, wipe off the sweat from the last game, and then he was ready to go and things warmed up. You know who actually had a little bit of a quiet one, but then had a huge cost? Alamau. I think he had a 90% cost, but a negative KD, which meant that all of those other areas he was helping in, which is unusual for his playstyle, showed. So I think Team 1 is much more well-rounded when we're talking about individual players. I'm sure Kix is going to love me saying this because he thinks Team 1 is like the best thing to come out of Latin America recently. But I definitely think they're much more well-rounded than we are giving them credit for, because the players are super versatile. Even Alamau, who we expect to just be the fragger.
Yeah, one thing Team 1 did talk to me about was that they practice harder than any of the LATAM teams, or at least they say they do.
I was going to say, how do they know? But go on.
I think they know probably because they have a general idea of scrim blocks and practice times that other teams use, but they said that they had been just grinding it out. So I think their improvement probably comes from a lot of that and their willingness to put as much time as possible into the game.
It clearly shows. I mean, throughout the whole game, they were doing different things. They were shutting DarkZero's roam down. They were surprising them on the attack. They had no, like, there was one round, I think KDS just walked in library and killed 2 people in the first 40 seconds on a bar defense. That does not happen. That is normally one of the longest sites it takes to clear,
Yes.
and KDS did it by himself.
I will say, though, against a more coordinated team who is holding crossfires on power rooms and power positions, that stuff won't work.
Is Team Liquid that team?
Yes.
I actually would say DZ is that team too, but they just weren't today.
And that's why I felt DZ should have won. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Well, if it hasn't been obvious, the MVP of this particular match, best of 3, is going to be Levy from Team 1. Well-deserved. Nobody was really in the conversation by the end of map 2. Very clearly a great day for him.
Oh, man. And you know, one thing I said in the back room while Skies was just randomly screaming Levy's name, I tried to put context to the screams a little bit to say his ability to chain kills is some of the best in the world. There are players who can take multiple 1v1v1v1s in a singular round, but Levy's ability to chain them in a singular, you know, battle is incredible. In one mag, this man can do so many things, and that to me shows a super, super mechanically skilled player.
It just seemed like everywhere Levy went, the bodies followed. Anywhere Levy was, there was just 2 people falling down. It was a domino effect for DarkZero against Levy.
Just the Grim Reaper of Chalet, Levy.
Absolutely.
Collecting DarkZero souls. Well, Levy is our MVP of